Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens, Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram. And this is fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 627. Hopefully, you guys have had a great Friday. I've had a pretty good day myself. Tonight, I get to introduce to you WormDawwg. How you doing, my friend? You want to tell us how you're doing and where they can find you?
I'm doing pretty well tonight. On Instagram, my Instagram is WormDawwg, spelled WORMDA, two W's and a G.
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come hang out tonight. What are you smoking on this evening?
Well, I'm smoking on some of these F1s that I made with Mail out of Todd McCormick's original haze. And actually, this one I think is the Super Silver Haze that I crossed it to. But I also crossed it to the AJ Sour Diesel cut and also an S1 that I found in the AJ Sour Diesel when I did a little S1 thing. And that's a pretty rad plant that I'm holding on to. That one I think came out the best so far. But yeah, it's pretty good shit, man. Like man, I got that herbs now dryer, the one that you're talking about on the show or whatever. And man, I just pulled it down like maybe 3 days ago, and man, I smoked that shit for the first time yesterday. And dude, I went to work and like somehow like lost my keys at work, dude. Like still haven't found my keys. So yeah, it seemed like it was pretty fire, pretty good shit. So anyways, dude, that's what hazes seem to do to me a lot, though, man. Like forgetful, like walk in the room, can't remember what I was like in the room for, and that type of thing. You know, kind of, kind of forgetful a little bit. But yeah, no, it's for sure some good shit, man. Get some cool flavor and stuff, man. That Super Silver Haze has a little bit of a cat pissy like back end to it, you know.
Nice, nice, nice. So I always, like to hear, good, bad, or other. I have no stakes in the game. You know what I mean? As far as the herb dryer goes. What'd you think for your first round? Have you used it before?
Yeah, no, I've never used it before. Well, like for me, like with my situation, I don't have like any HVAC, right? Because first of all, I'm in like a condo, right? And I'm in a garage in the condo, right? And yeah, like with my girl, like won't let me pull no more power down here, type of thing. So I'm like pretty limited on like how much power I have. So like I was trying all different shit. I mean, I could get it to dry good, but just not consistent, you know, like because it's so dependent on like what time of year it was, you know. Like a lot of my winter runs, like man, shit would be fire, but then like the summer shit would just dry too fast. Like it'd be all right, but it just, you know. And then this thing, like, I mean, granted, like I haven't fully like because I literally just pull it out of there and like you know how you kind of have to like bring it back, like rehydrate it and shit. Like I haven't like fully like dialed it in to per se, but like the flavor is still there. And like to be smoking this shit like 3 days off the plant is pretty cool, you know. Like I'm a fan. I've been recommending it to some of my friends that have been having like issues in that department. Like I would say like if you're having issues drying your weed, like that could be an option that you might want to look into because like it did help me. Like it helped me for sure. It definitely helped. So that yeah, that was a good suggestion on your part, man. Thank you for that.
That's awesome, man. For me, I think it just kind of boils down to like it's a quick preservation matter. You know what I mean? The quicker you can kind of preserve it, excuse me, uh the the more it'll stay. Your terps will still be there. You ain't gonna lose much quality. There's not like a fan beating on it to where it's I've been happy with it. I still use it after all these years, these couple years.
Yeah, and I kind of thought it would be like a
Cheers.
hotter process than it is, you know. Like and like you say, like I thought there'd be like active wind on it and stuff. Like there, it's like not, you know. Like yeah, it's a pretty cool machine, dude, for sure.
We're done. So we might as well get this rolling where we
All right.
normally do. when and how did cannabis come into your life, man? When did it all start?
All right, it's funny because I knew this question's coming, right? Because I watch your show all the time and stuff, right? And like we were supposed to do this last week, so I was like, man, I was like trying to think of the answer to this because it's like, man, I guess it hasn't been that long. I'm only like 35, but it was hard for me to think about it, right? So I went to private school. I should preface this, like from kindergarten to eighth grade, I was in private school, right? And I was always kind of like, I wouldn't say like a bad kid, but like kind of like I was always in trouble, you know, always kind of naughty and shit like that type of thing. And so, anyways, I I went from kindergarten to eighth grade. My parents tried to put me in this private high school, right? And that didn't last very long. But like while I was there, like man, I ran into some kid, and he's like, "Yeah, my dad grows weed, blah blah." I'm like, man, Shane, give me some. And this kid like totally burned me, dude. Like, but at the time I didn't know because I didn't know what weed was, right? So like I gave him $20, right? He came back the next day and he brought me like a weed leaf in a Ziploc bag, man, like a dried like fan leaf, you know? And like me always, that's what I saw weed was, you know? And like that's probably what he thought weed was too, you know? Like so like he gave me that, I gave him $20, man. First time got burned, man. I don't even think I've ever been burned that bad since, man. But that one like was pretty good. So I went home and I like had a little pipe. I tried to smoke that shit, but nothing ever really came of that, you know? Then I would say, okay, so fast forward maybe like a couple more months, right? I end up getting kicked out of that school. Well, I ran away from home and just didn't go to the school anymore and got kicked out of school. They ended up putting me in a public high school for a little while. And I ran into some weed there. And I don't remember like really like who gave it to me, but I was like a skater kid, you know? So I was always like skating, like hanging out with, like, that's who I met when I went to that new school because I didn't know nobody, you know? So like I just hung out with the skaters, you know? And like somebody gave me some weed, man. I remember like it was like a nug or something. And I remember what they called it. They call it Orange Crush, right? But I don't think that's like really what it was. I have no idea. I grew up like in a small town in Fallbrook, right? So like North San Diego County. It's where Bud Kilowatt is from, actually, as a matter of fact. But I grew up in town. He lives more like in the canyon, out in the sticks part of it. But anyway, so they call it like Orange Crush, right? And it did smell strong like oranges, but I think it was like back in the day. I don't know if you remember, like when your weed would get like real dry, you know, like you put orange peels and shit in there to like rehydrate it and shit. And I could, I'm pretty sure that that's like what happened with that. But it was good and it got me like super lit. I remember I was like, took it home and had this little nug and like saved it all night. And then in the morning, like when I got up, got me and my brother ready for school and like got him on the bus. And then I'm like walking to school with my skateboard and I like walked through these groves and this little field and stuff. So I pull off there and I had like an apple on my lunch and I like made a little pipe out of the apple, man, and like ripped that shit. And man, that put me on the moon, man. I had a good day that day at school for sure. But yeah, that was like the first time for sure that I got high, you know. First time I got burned, second time I got something decent like from one of my friends. So that worked out pretty cool.
Right on, right on. So I don't know. Obviously, you got to hide that first time. There is the division there. Some people say yay, some people say no. Obviously, you did. So how did it hit you? Did it kind of did you realize it was one of those things that just kind of felt right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Did you
Well, for sure.
how
Okay, so
what was your reaction to, I
during
guess?
that time I was like always more of like a drinker because like my parents were drinkers, you know, like find out later like my dad was like kind of like undercover stoner, but like he never still this day like won't talk to me about it, you know. But so they were always drinkers, you know, they were always okay, like for the most part, like with us drinking and shit, like as long as we're like safe about it, and, you know, didn't like, I don't know, it was much more loose with that. But like weed was like drugs to my parents, you know, like and to everyone else at that time, you know. But so it was like different in a way, you know, but like for me, I always like drugs, you know, like all different kinds of drugs, you know. And so when I started, like I said, that first experience, I kind of got burned with the weed. So like I kind of put that off to the side and like just kind of started running through like the other drugs, like as I came across them, you know, like from pills to like everything, you know. So that was like a big part of my life for a long time. And I feel like with weed, like, okay, I liked it a lot, man. I liked it a lot, but it wasn't for me because like some of those other substances at that point in my life like had like really like taken a hold of me more so. Like I would say they had taken a hold of me at that point, but like I had already tasted like harder substances, you know what I mean? And like for me, like weed was cool, but I was like still in that mindset of chasing like girls and like harder, mostly girls and harder stuff, you know what I mean? But I do remember that like that stuck with me. And for like where I come from, like in San Diego County, like is kind of like considered like the Humboldt of San Diego County, I would say. Like everybody, all the weed I grew up smoking was like homegrown weed for the most part, you know, except for like the Mexican brick, like that would, we would have to like go out of our way to find that, you know, like a lot of the stuff we would get as kids was even like still wet, or like people steal it from their dad and it was still wet, like stuff like that. So like it was like not bad, but you know, until we kind of figured it out. And so it was always like a part of our life, like in even in the times when I wasn't searching it out, like I didn't have to look far for cannabis. Cannabis was like there in my life from an early age, man. Like even when when I was a kid, I found some clones. Like I want to say I was like maybe 8 or 9 years old, like running around with my little brother, like riding our bikes, and we found like a bunch of clones somebody had put out like in a little clearing, you know? And like man, I didn't even know what the fuck, but it like was just like all in the middle of everything. It's weird, man, but I was introduced to it young, and like just the growing of it and everything, like the whole process of it, you know? So like I would say like from a really young age, like I kind of started growing weed, I would say like almost simultaneously with as smoking it, like more so for like I said, in our area. So in our area, what we would do, we would kind of like throw some bag seeds and we would just put them out somewhere, you know, and we'd have little spots and all that. And we would go out kind of like where Bud lives, like in the canyon out there, and ride our bikes way down there. And we would put these plants out and we'd set up like, as we got like a little bit older and like kind of figured things out, like we would like set up little irrigation, little drip for them and stuff. So we'd like sink those little 5 gallon drinking water jugs, the 5 gallon like Arrowhead Sparklets bottle, cut the ass end off of it, right, and have it be like a funnel, and sink that down in the little river, right, and have it facing upstream. And if you had the hose going and then up, and as long as the hose was like the plant was downhill of where the water supply was coming from, like even if you had to dig it down and have just a little bit of a slope there, like you could get a drip going to it, you know what I mean? And so we would like, and we would set up all kinds of crazy little stuff when we were kids, man, like trench out little irrigation ditches and all kinds of stuff. And like sometimes we would get jacks, sometimes we would get them, you know. But I remember it being like it was really fun, like when they would come through, you know what I mean? Like even though like bugs, you know, it wasn't like, man, I wouldn't probably even smoke it nowadays, you know. But man, in those days, like, man, it was devastating to lose them too, because that would happen, you know. That was kind of part of the thing too, you know. But yeah, that was fun. But it was a different, I guess, like a different way of coming up around it. Like I always knew it was bad. I always knew it was illegal. It was something like that I was used to like everyone around me doing to either supplement their income. And then a lot of people I knew, that's all they did really, you know. Man, like even my dad, when I was a kid, I didn't know till I was older, but he used to always go to his friend's house and he'd always be like, "Oh, hey Roy, come check out my hothouse tomatoes, man." And always, man, I asked him, I call him my uncle, but he's like we're not like actually related, but like I asked him later on, man, "Hey, you used to grow tomatoes?" He's like, "Nah, fuck no, I never grew no tomatoes, man. That was some weed, man." I'm like, "Oh, what?" But yeah, no, I mean, it was always around, man. It's a trip, but yeah, it was always kind of like underneath the surface, I guess, in our little town. There's a lot of things in our town that is kind of like that, you know. But yeah, anyways.
Right on. So it sounds like it just escalated from that first time. Definitely sounds like you had may have fell in love with it or had a decent, good relationship right with it right off the bat.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I definitely did. My path with it was kind of like a roundabout thing though, in an interesting way. Like growing it, yeah, no, I always loved it, man. I always did. I think that other things like just kind of got in the way of it, but in a weird way, it's like come around to like save my life. Like the life that I have now is so awesome, dude. Like from where I came from, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have like directly to do with like I grew a bunch of weed and made a bunch of money and like dug myself out of a hole, but like cannabis has shaped my perception of things in such a way now that it's changed. You know what I mean? And just yeah, like I don't know, man. It's in AA, right? Like I never really got along in AA or nothing, but they tell you like a few things in AA when you're trying to get clean and stuff, right? And like none of that stuff really worked for me, but like a lot of that stuff they really like repeat that shit, you know, and like it gets in your head. And there's a lot of like court force stuff as we go through my story. I'll kind of like go into detail on more of that, but you know, and so I was stuck in those meetings a lot, and they would always say like, okay, if you want to get clean, first thing you got to do is what was it? Get a dog first, or no, grow a plant first, then get a dog, then a girlfriend, right? If you want to have a relationship or something, first you got to be able to grow a plant and have that like where you can take care of something every day. Then you get a dog, then so you have something dependent on you, then you're like ready for a girlfriend type of thing. And so like it was kind of that type of development for me as well, you know what I mean? Once I was able to like settle down to the point where I could sit down and like really grow a plant, hold on to plants and like have a library and do that type of thing, then I was ready to like take on the responsibility like a family and a job and all that type of stuff. You know, it was like a really good like first step into like holding down a responsibility, made me where I felt like I was ready to do that when the time came, you know.
Sorry,
Okay,
buddy. I
so
was fucking
no, it's all
muted.
good.
So man, cheers to you for hopefully how did you end up coming out of that process of the AA? I mean, did you go in for what did you go in for?
Okay, okay, so I'll give you a little rundown. So um like I said, weed was always a thing. So my very first time I went to jail for shoplifting at Nordstrom's, right? I was stealing t-shirts from Nordstrom's. I was 18, right? I just had turned 18 and I was just getting ready to have my daughter actually at that time, which I have a daughter from that. That was like another life. But so I did that. I went to prison for that actually. Did 16 months with half, right? I got out. I did good for a little while, but at 19, I want to say I went in again. And this time it was because I got caught with some weed, selling a sack of weed at the skate park. And I got 3 years with half for selling possession for sales, marijuana, you know? So I did that. Then fast forward, I want to say I was 25 and now we've stepped up. We're doing like a pretty good size grow. And this was like, okay. So wait, let me back up a little bit here. So in between all of that, right? So when I'm in prison during those times, I learned how to draw and tattoo. That was like my main thing while I was in there, you know? And I did a lot of that. So when I got out, I pursued that a little bit and I tattooed at a tattoo shop up until I was about 25 years old. At that point, like that's when I like there was a fork in the road where I got into it with my boss at the tattoo shop. And I had an opportunity with one of my friends down in San Diego to do like more of a large scale grow. They were doing like an outdoor thing. And this was in want to say like 2012, 13, 14, somewhere right there. And we were doing that. And what ended up happening there was that was kind of like, okay, so that's when I caught my big kind of case type of thing, right? Which so I was doing a grow with a couple of my friends, and I was also on methadone maintenance at the time. So I was like kind of 1 foot one in, 1 foot out of that scene. And anyways, yeah, I'll skip on that. But anyways, I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out type of thing. And so I was doing good and everything, but that was like the last little remnant of my little addiction that was hanging on there in that time period. So, and I was I was doing an outdoor grow. So we're doing these like huge plants down in San Diego, outdoor, and the plant count was 8 plants. But like at that time, it was like, you know, just grow them as big as you possibly can on those 8 plants, you know. So we did like some huge, like 12 footers, you know. And this was like kind of before the whole organic like wave, you know, like it was still really popular, like grow inside, like under air cooled hoods and like with like, you know, salts and all that, right? And so we were doing it like more for like ease of everything, and just it's something that we learned as a kid that the older dudes would always do, you know. So we got like a backhoe, we dug up the backyard like with this little bobcat that we rented, right? And like, man, we're like in this semi like residential kind of area at my friend's house. So we got a ticket for illegal grading, you know. And we took in and we brought a whole bunch of amendments in though, like some blood meal, bone meal, feather meal. We got some guanos in there and like a bunch of topsoil from the dump, a bunch of perlite, and just filled that whole thing in, you know. And we grew these like monster plants in there, dude. It was cool, but it was like, you know, not really set up for that. But the funny part about it is that's like not at all where I got in trouble, you know. So I was growing there, and I was living at a house in Fallbrook with my wife at the time, and her boyfriend and her her sister and her sister's boyfriend, excuse me. So it was like the two of us, two couples in the one house. And he had a grow there that he was doing, but it was like a small scale little greenhouse in the backyard thing. But like this was you know, I want to say this was now 2015, around 2015 or so. And so he was like that dude, he was like really into that BHO wax, you know. And like, not to say that like we hadn't been doing that too, because at that time that stuff was like really big too. A lot of what we were doing was like the live resin stuff, like pulling it right off of those like huge ass plants and just like open blasting out in the backyard, you know. But anyways, he had a little thing that he had set up at the house I lived at, but I didn't do anything there. That was like his thing separate, you know. But anyway, so I went to the grow store, and I had grabbed like some soil and some nutrients, and I actually, like, at that time I had dreads, like, man, down like almost to my nipples basically. And so I'm leaving that grow store with a couple bags of potting soil, and I might have had some nutrients, and I don't even know. I had some like obvious grow stuff, you know, that I had bought, and I had a 1/4 pound of weed because we were doing like patient to patient thing. So I like just roll around with like a 1/4 pound, but like in my trunk, locked up, you know, and that was all legal, you know. But so when I got followed, I got pulled over, and they're like searching my car, and they end up like going through my phone, and my phone has pictures of the like super large CL grow, like only a few of them, but like it was like enough. And then they're like looking through my car trying to find my address, and you know, they find one piece of mail that had my wife that I lived's address, and they were already on it. So they went over there to the other address thinking they're gonna find these pictures, which they found like nothing like that, you know. But they did find, when they went, they served the warrant, they put me in like custody, didn't tell them, and they like served a warrant, they found a bunch of BHO tubes, bunch of cans, bunch of all that stuff in the garage where this dude had just chopped everything and blasted it all. So that was a common area, even though like when they did search the house, you know, like whatever. It's the first time in my life I've been busted for something that wasn't me, you know. But you know, he had like, I want to say like a pound of like little grammed up wax papers, and I had like a gram in my room, but they were locked. But that common area being the garage, and that's where all the cans and everything was at, it was over with. We were both busted. And since I had the priors that I told you about, I was looking at like a significantly like longer period of time than he was. So, and what we got charged with was manufacturing a controlled substance. So like the same thing, like if we had like a meth lab at that house, you know. So he signs the deal, and since we were co-defendants, when he signed the deal, I was kind of like hung out to dry a little bit. I kind of had to sign, and he got 6 months with half. I got 7 years, 8 months with 80%, right? So I did 5 years on that. So I was gone 2015 to 2020. So I just kind of got out here 2 years ago now. But yeah, so that's like that's my story on that whole part of it, you know. So that was kind of like how that went with that whole BHO thing that I got busted for. So I recently just was released in 2020, and I got out early for that whole COVID thing, and I did like 5 years. But like, I don't know, in a roundabout sort of way, it was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, you know, because like I kind of needed it, you know. And at the time I was like kind of mad about the way it went down, because like it really wasn't fair, like the way it happened, you know, like even though like I probably had like deserved it, like for stuff I had done, like more so like throughout that whole thing. But yeah, like it's just but yeah, so anyways, I kind of straightened out a little bit in there and got my head straight a little bit, and kind of figured things out like a little bit more, you know, because I'd always like struggled with opiates and that type of thing in the past, as I'm sure like, you know, a lot of us have done that. And funny, like yeah, but forget where I was going with that. But yeah, so anyways, I got released there in 2020. I'm trying to think about kind of lost my train of thought there on my story, man. But anyway, so let's go from when I got released, man. So when I got released, I got out and I basically met my wife. I started working at a machine shop, and I got past that clone of the sour diesel, the AJ's cut of sour diesel. And so my wife had like a little condo, and she let me move in here because I was like renting a cottage before that, and I had like a little grow set up there, but it was just a little tent, little 4x4. But then I moved in here, and like I started like building my room out. And so I had like a pretty cool size, like a 4x8 room, but it's got 8-foot ceilings, that was like a big thing for me, you know, because like I like to grow hazes and sativas and stuff like that. And so yeah, I got that. So I got that AJ's cut, and I started working with that AJ's cut a little bit. So I selfed it, which that worked out, you know, all right. And then I found a cool OG bag seed that I've been working with. But anyways, I pretty much just like started making seed, started like hanging out with different people, you know what I mean? And didn't associate with like my old connections, which made things like really hard, because like so like me and my friends, like always, like since we were kids, like we were like always we would always like there'd always be a few seeds, right? Like every time we grew, you know. And like there was like a few plants that were like really standouts, you know what I mean? And like we would always save seed from those, you know. And like it almost like turned into like where it was like a worked like stash of seeds, you know, like. And those all got lost kind of like in that whole little fandango with me getting busted with this time. And like my friend that I knew like where to go get him back from, right? Like I just, yeah, it wasn't worth it, dude. So I just let him go, you know. It wasn't even worth like getting involved again. And yeah, it was probably the best decision I ever made, man. It's just it's serendipitous. Like everything that's happened to me in my life up to this point has been like extremely like serendipitous, like to the point where like this last time, like when I was in jail for a long time and kind of like going through it, and like I lost everything, you know, like besides me losing my genetics and whatever, right? Like I lost my wife, I lost my family, I lost, you know, all my possessions, everything, right? And like it was like such a thing where like you have no control, you know, and you have to like accept the fact that like you have no control over anything, and like you realize like how little control you really have like in this world, like at all, you know. And like a lot of this stuff that like we sit around and think that like we're in control of, like you're not, you know. Like you think you can do certain things to like protect everything, but like you really can't like control things that'll happen. Like there's things that are like outside of your control happening. And so like for me, like that was a huge thing for me, man. Like to like relinquish like and stop trying to control the things around me, and just to accept like the universe is bringing all this stuff around in such a way that like if you do the right thing, it's to benefit you, you know. And like the plant like really fits into that whole thing for me. Like it was an essential piece to this whole puzzle, but every piece that happened was essential, you know. And like I'm a big believer in like that those things you manifest it, you know, to yourself, like whatever it is that, you know, you want, you can make it all happen, you know, like just by like honestly really like you just have to visualize it, and you just have and so for me like being in there like this time, you know, a lot of times I've always like focused on like tattooing and hustling and trying to like, you know, whatever, do my little thing. But this time, man, like I really sat down and I really thought, you know, and I really tried to like figure out, because like I don't know, like for me, like that wasn't the life I ever have like pictured for myself, you know. Like I come from a really good family. I, you know, like I just needed to do better, you know. But at the same time, like without having gone through that stuff that I went through, like I'd never be the person that I am today, you know. Like that stuff has shaped me like so immensely, like in so many ways, you know. And like for me, that was the turning point. Like, man, like you don't control anything in this world, you know. Like you only control yourself, your actions, like, and basically that's it, you know. Everything else is just kind of like, you know, you put it into play, and you hope that you do what you can do, you know. But yeah, for sure.
You know, I appreciate that that moment you talked about there, that moment where you kind of realize that everything is kind of out of your control. You know what I mean? And once I kind of had that moment myself, that was probably one of the most comforting fucking moments I've ever had. You know,
Yeah,
up to that
no,
point,
for sure.
it was kind of worrying about, over worrying about trying to control, you know, too much shit. And it just brought angst. You
No,
know what
you're
I
totally
mean? I
right, bro.
can
Like
fully
it's a
relate.
relief, dude. Yeah, it's like a total relief in a way, like you say. I mean, like for a minute there, it was really stressful, and it was like, you know, it was like a really hard lesson to have to learn that way and all that. But like those are the lessons that when you learn those lessons, like you never forget them, you know. Like it's a part of your life now, you know. And it shaped me, you know. And like really like, you know, I I learned all my morals and all my my manners and everything from like people like where it's like serious, you know? So it's like, I really, I really got those lessons, you know? And it's funny, man, like if you look at my brother and you look at me, you know, and my brother didn't go through any of that, man, like we're just so different, you know, like, and it definitely like, I guess it's the fire, you know, like they say you go through the fire, you know, like it makes you, you know, it's one of two things going to happen, right? So like either come out better at the end or it destroys you type of thing, you know?
So, man, I've never really asked this question. I never have asked this question, to be honest with you. And I know a lot of tattoo guys, a lot of tattoo artists, you know.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm
I've
sure you
never
do.
asked this question, I
All right.
guess. So, um, life's weird, man. Energy, well, you know, is not fucking. It's transferred. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's never lost. It's transferred.
absolutely.
And a
Can't
lot
be
of
created or
times
destroyed.
when people go in for ink, man, it's it's therapy. You know what I mean? I'm fucking a lot of times, man. I've fucking taken in there. I've been a lot of times when I'm in that chair, I'm in a bad spot, man. You know, I'm looking for some type of release, you know, and I'm watching a hole in the wall. You know, most people that's had any kind of ink knows what I'm talking about. That ink therapy, that ink therapy. So I can't help but wonder, as an artist on the other side, do you guys pick up? You know what I mean? Is some of that negativity, some of that angst, some of that, you know, what we're releasing in the chair kind of like rubbed off on the artist? You know what I mean? Does it transfer?
Yeah, well, of course, bro. I mean, like, you know, I mean, so obviously, I mean, we're humans, right? So all humans are that way, right? Like, I mean, uh animals are real in touch, but for me personally, like I'm really in touch with like energy and feelings, right? But like what I would do in that situation, like, okay, if you were to come in and you're having a bad day, like I'm gonna try to be lighthearted. I'm gonna try to like bring you up and like joke around. And a lot of times that's where weed comes into, man, because like I don't know if I ever sat down and did a tattoo without smoking a blunt or a joint or something first. Like, even if my customer doesn't smoke, man, like they're always cool with me stepping out and smoking, you know? And like I needed that, man. I still would need that. Like, you know, for me it's medicine, man. Like I said, I mean, I don't know where I would be today without it, but like, yeah, I think, you know, you talk to my wife today, everything. I mean, they all agree, like, man, don't take his weed away, man. Cause like, yeah, dude, I think like for people like us, man, we need something, you know, and like, you're right. Like the tattoos are like that. And that's how I started getting into that whole thing was through that same thing, man. Like with me going through all of that stuff, like that was like something that I could focus on, something that I could control, something I could do. Like, and I felt like I was progressing, you know, like for me, like in those situations where I was like on and off, right? Like for weed, for whatever reason, like it was always like I didn't want to waste my time, man, because I always have felt like time is so precious, you know, and especially me being into what I'm into, man. Like a lot of my friends, like man, almost all my friends are dead now, you know, that I knew from doing that stuff, dude. Which I mean, I have heard your show enough to know you've been like personally touched by that whole thing too, man. And so like like man, a lot of my strains, like I name them after a lot of my dead friends, you know, because that's what I feel like I could do for them, you know, like a lot of the stuff that I'm playing with, like I'll just call it after my friends, you know. And just recently, like the dude that like it was kind of like a father figure to me, man, like through prison, you know, like I met him my very first time when I was like 18 years old in there, and he kind of like taught me everything while I was in there. And then, you know, ever since then, he's, you know, he's my homeboy from San Diego. So like I'd hang out with him. You know, he went back in one time, I think, since then. But yeah, he recently just overdosed and died or whatever, you know. And like he was calling me to, you know, but I couldn't really like go, you know, like I couldn't help him. You know, you can't really help people like that, you know, but it was like, in the past, right? Like, I lost another one of my really close friends, man. This dude, Richie, man, we call him Ghost, right? But, he was another dude I knew that way, right? And the last time that happened, man, like, I went to his funeral, and you know, his daughter, he had a 10-year-old daughter, and just like, it was so sad, dude, you know, but like, they tell me, man, please promise me you'll never use again, man, for Richie, you know. I'm like, yeah, I promise. But I relapsed over that whole little thing, you know, like, and I don't know what caused me to do that, man. Like, I think it was just the fact that like I hadn't really learned like to deal with bad things happening to me, because I've always just gotten high and covered them up, like, and never really like felt them and like dealt with them, you know. So like, this time, you know, after I did this prison term, and like, you know, obviously this time, like, I was trying to do things different big time. So like, I was clean and sober the whole 5 years, you know. I smoked some weed or whatever, and you know, my silly made wine. So like sometimes, or that white lightning stuff, you know. So sometimes I drink like that white lightning shit every once in a while with him, but like really I didn't, you know. And it really like helped clear my head, like, and helped me to like really deal with a lot of that stuff, man, that had been like building up like over my life, you know, and I've been covering up with like drugs, and I really like had to deal with all that shit. So like this time, man, like when my buddy, like my freaking basically like my father figure, you know, like the dude that really showed me what's up like in my adult life, like how to live as an adult, you know, because I didn't really like got along with my dad, but the dude that kind of showed me that, like when he died, and like, man, I didn't relapse, man. It didn't even cross my mind, man. I went home to my wife, and it was like, man, I realized like the change, you know, and I was like, man, that's cool, man. And a lot of it is I have a responsibility to my wife, my kid, you know, and then like after all that, you know, like, man, my plants, man, like I don't want to leave my plants behind, man. I don't want to do something stupid and fuck up my shit, you know, because like I've been putting a lot into this, and I really value like, you know, like them too, man. And I realized like, man, like this is like a super like healthy therapeutic like thing, the same way that art always was for me, like in those places, man. And that's what I used art for, was to like take myself out of those places when I was like stuck somewhere. Like I could go in my head and draw and just use my imagination, and boom, I would just meditate and kind of get out of there. And it was like for me, like very similar to like what I do when I sit here and smoke a joint, and I kind of just like in my head just kind of go somewhere else. Like it's a similar release that I would get from art that I get from smoking like good weed, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, that was a trip too, you know. So
Right on, man. You got some pretty sweet ink from what I can see, man. How much of
oh
your ink
shit.
have you done?
Okay, I did my whole stomach actually, man. Like when I was in prison, minus that car. But here, let me see if I can get you like a close up of it. Maybe a better. It's like an
Sweet.
owl. I did it for my grandpa that passed away, man. So that I was really like close. That's his initials, DHL. And then I like kind of, yeah, but that I started running out of like space where I could reach, you know. But no, that's the only ones. That's the only ones I did on myself. Is just that owl, man, for my grandpa, and then just kind of filled in my torso. But I want to go over that with some color, anyways, dude. I have my back half finished too. I have a lot of stuff. It's weird, like it kind of has taken a back seat in recent years, you know. But for like I feel like that's like a big reason I even like took the job because I wanted to get tattooed like that, you know. So like I'm like, man, all right, that's the way to do it. Yeah, I'll work, you know, I'll work for tattoos, you know. But yeah, no, I did that one on myself. But yeah, other than that, it's not really, mostly just my friends and stuff. And honestly, I wish I had waited, man, like to get a lot of the stuff. Most of the best work I have is on my legs, you know, because I was like had full sleeves by the time I was like 20 years old, you know. My neck is good too. I waited for like the sides of my neck, and I have like a Mary and a Jesus. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, I don't know. I might have twisted my neck, but yeah. Anyways, but yeah, no, that's probably the best stuff. The stuff I waited for, man. I should have probably waited, man, until I started working at the shop, you know. But even as a kid, I kind of came up in a tattoo shop in a way. My best friend when I was a kid, his dad owned the tattoo shop in town, and we would always sit in there and play Xbox and stuff. And then when we were like teenagers, they'd like practice piercing on us and stuff. I got like 3 holes in my septum from like the lady in there trying to learn how to pierce septums, you know, and it's still got a hole because she went through the cartilage like the 3rd time, but she finally got it straight, you know. but yeah, no, I think that was like another part that kind of shaped that, you know, because I always looked up to that, you know, like weed grower dudes, and then going at the tattoo shop. Since I never got along with my dad, I always look up to like his dad, like he was cool or something, you know. So I mean, we didn't really like kick it like that, but I always like admire him, you know, and I always look up to those dudes, you know. It's always what I wanted to like kind of be like them, you know.
Man, there's definitely a few things I would have waited a little bit in my tattoo design phase.
Yeah.
Man, you live and learn, and some
but
guys
I don't
give a
regret none
shit.
of them though. Yeah, I don't regret none of them, even the bad ones though. I mean, like I don't regret them, you know. I would like, you know, some of those bad ones are my friends or dad that did them, you know, like stuff I just, you know, they're all memories, you know. I wouldn't get none of them lasered or covered up, you know. I think that I like them all.
I do too.
I just could have
And,
got better
what's
stuff.
funny is this is the first one, brother. This is my first one right there, and that's
Oh hell
Buster
yeah.
Bunny.
Okay, yeah,
right?
dude. That's got to be the 90s
And
or 80s, huh? That was popular back then. Like the
so that was like
Yosemite
shit.
Sam, Bugs Bunny.
That would have had to been like 93.
Okay,
93?
yeah. Hell yeah, man.
Something like that.
Yeah. Hey, you had to pick between Marvin the Martian and Bugs Bunny, or hey, because that one was Marvin the Martian was popular back then too, man. Remember that? Or a tribal
holding
band.
the beer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the tribal band.
There's a few.
Yeah.
But
no,
nowadays,
did you have
man,
color in it?
it has so much. It's been retouched up a few times. But nowadays, man, it has that sentimental value. I actually had one artist like tell me, well, you can always move it. And I went, and like you could like cut it out, like graft it somewhere. And then I had that hard look, and I was like, no. I'm like, no. And she's like, you could go over that one, but you could like take that tattoo and put it somewhere else. And I'm like, well, that's not the same.
It kind of loses the value, right? Yeah. There goes the sentimental. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, good, bad, other, man. They do have their their value. But today I'm like, how in the heck am I gonna work that into like what I got going nowadays? You know what I mean? It's hard to. Good luck, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you say, dude. I mean, you have to get creative with that one. It could be done though. For sure, it could be done, man. There's some people doing some amazing things nowadays, man. Like, man. I see on Instagram, I'm like, holy shit, that photoshopped or what?
Oh man, I seen one. I've seen some beautiful like fucking chest tattoos, man. Like fucking torso right here.
Yeah.
Fucking
you got yours done, right?
What? Yeah. Shoulder to shoulder down to about
the eagle, right? Yeah, you got the eagle, right?
The eagle.
Yeah. Nice.
And so fucking the one I like is I've seen one that's like a galaxy that was like 3D, and it's got so much fucking depth. And then one that was like a cuber like thing, like it was really interesting. And then
like the geometric, right? Like the sacred geometry type of thing. Like those
well, it looked like a keyboard board. Yeah, it was a bunch of squares.
Yeah.
And it had like a lot of depth. And then today I seen one that was like simple, but man, it was crazy. It was just like it was like a spiral, and it went in, and it looked like it was, you know
Optical
what I mean,
illusion,
like it dropped. Yeah.
Yeah, those are badass, man. I like those a lot, man. Some of those, where they look like a painting or like a photo, like. Yeah, I never did nothing like that, man. I was like more like pick 'em and stick 'em type of like, we tattooed on Marines, man. Cause like Bud's always telling you, we're like right on the backside of Camp Pendleton, So like Oceanside's the front gate, Fallbrook's the back gate, So like a lot of Marines, dude. A lot of like 90% Marines, you know, drinking beer, getting tattooed, you know. We did like EGA Fridays, Eagle Globe and Anchor, like $25 Fridays and shit, you know, all that type of thing.
Man, I don't know. A lot of artists definitely don't like that. They like that artistic freedom to be able to get in there, just do their thing. But
yeah, no, that's part of what killed it for me for sure. Like just working with other people, you know. Sometimes the people are hard, you know, to deal with. They want shit a certain way, and you got your vision, they got their vision, and like, man, sometimes that shit, you know, you got to do what they want, but like, man, you're like, I wish, you know, because it looks so much better. Like, well, you know what I mean. But what are you gonna do? It's their tattoo, you know.
that's one thing I appreciate too about artists. That man, that's one thing that that's a gypsy career, basically,
For
I
sure, for
guess.
sure.
Yeah,
It's hard to
you could
support a
take that
family.
and make a living. Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're
Well,
good. I mean, if
not
you're
in
good and like you have your own like private studio and you got your clientele and stuff, you know, you could definitely do it. But
these days, it's definitely getting more better. What you can do there. Price is definitely going up. But I mean,
yeah,
what I'm trying to get at is that's one of those careers that you can pick up and go,
for
especially
sure.
these days with IG. As long as you're like, building a
Yeah,
page of your work, you can pick up, guest spot in a lot of areas these days.
a lot more
Travel.
freedom, bro. Yeah, you don't have to carry photos and you know all that type of thing. You know, you got it with you. Whole portfolio and everything right there. You know.
So, back to cannabis, I guess, even though they do go hand in hand, like kind of
They
said,
do.
uh,
They do.
you do have some amazing gardens here at the beginning of your page. So you mentioned earlier on that, California, the outdoors, the beautiful outdoors.
Yeah.
Uh, do when did you kind of make that transition? Was it
Okay.
after?
Yeah, so when I got out, man, I didn't have the space to be able to do it outdoors, you know. And my partner that I usually worked with, dude, like there is some funny business with him and my wife while I was busted and that whole deal. So I just like kind of cut ties with him completely. So like I ended up moving everything inside, you know, and like I've always done things like to a point inside. So like where we live, like it's kind of like a perpetual flower room, you know, like we have like excellent like year round and like pretty much like you can just throw something outside, it'll just go right to flower, you know. So we would like always veg like almost like a reverse like light depth type of thing, you know, and just throw them in the garage, extend the light, or you know, put them under a light or a hoop house or whatever. But so yeah, so anyway, so I had a little indoor experience from doing that, and then I had done some little experiments like when I was younger too, like inside. I kind of played around way back when doing like an aeroponic type thing. I don't know if you remember seeing on YouTube. It's probably like I want to say like 2010, but they were like floating those foggers in the totes and like doing like a DWC setup, but like with a mist, you know. So I had like fooled around with a little bit of that and like some little DWC stuff inside. And then even one time, man, like I want to say this was like in between those terms. I was living out in Bonsall and like in one of those little slide closets, I grew some bag seeds like under a fluorescent inside, like in some Fox Farms. And one of them came out like pretty rad, man. Like I'm not really like into purple weed too much, but like this one came out like purple and pink. It was called like Purple Raz, was like the bag that I got it in, but Purple Razzleberry or something. Dude, it was like, man, I wish I had known. I didn't know enough to like clone it or nothing in those days, you know. But then, so anyways, like when I got out in 2020 and I moved in, I had rented like a little cottage and I had a little 4x4 and I got like a little high bay LED from work. My dad hooked me up because I was at the machine shop with him, and he had switched over all of his fixtures to like these high bay LED, like 300 watt. They're pretty cool. You know, I still use one to flower under actually, but it worked good for like the little 4x4. It was like 6 foot tall, you know, and it was like perfect for that. But that was just my little thing. And then so right about the time I started that up as soon as I got off probation, which I got off probation like kind of accelerated because of the COVID situation. And then so when I moved in here, the condo, that's when I like really like started seriously like attempting like the indoor thing, you know. And like the first run I did in here, so like I said, I got past that clone of AJ's Sour Diesel and I wanted to run that one out. And so I set up like a DWC, one of those Home Depot totes, the yellow lid. I want to say it's like the 12 gallon, probably, I think 12-gallon one. But anyways, it was pretty big. And it was just a pain in the ass, like changing the water and all that shit. So like I did one run in that and like really rocked it out, dude. But I just was like, man, I tore all that apart, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna try to like do like a recirculating thing, you know. And I was like watching like Loki Grow on YouTube, man. He got like a super sick ass like deep water culture, but he does it like table style with like these big like Botanicare reservoirs, you know, and like builds his own tops. And there's another dude on Instagram, Self-Made Gas, that got his system like that. And I was watching those dudes and was like pretty stoked on that setup. And I wanted to like set up something like similar to that, where it was all deep water culture, you know, because like I'm thinking like, man, I don't want any bugs. And I, you know, like where I'm at, I kind of like struggle with my garage because like I constantly get like thrips and like fungus gnats and different little shit flies in here from the outside because like I have to vent it. And like, yeah, it's kind of a catch-22. So like, I'm like, man, the most I could like eliminate like media, you know, I'd be better off, right? So I'm thinking I'm gonna set up this hydro system, but I had like the only way to do it, man, because I only had 2 breakers down here, is I have to pull a panel down here, you know. And so I'm trying to like talk my girl into like letting me like, you know, but like I didn't know an electrician personally, you know. The electrician we knew was her friend, and like I don't know, man. It wasn't happening. Like, she's not going to let me bring a panel down here. You know, we own the condo and stuff, but like, you know, it just wasn't going to fly, dude. So I'm like, all right, I had to switch gears, you know? And so I had been, I have that 4x8 flower room, right? And so, okay, so when I built the room, I just pretty much, okay, so this is during all that COVID stuff. So lumber was like, you know, $1 million, like, you know, it's super expensive for lumber. So the way I built it, I did like basically like framed out like a 12-foot long rectangle, 4 feet wide, and like did it in such a way to like conserve lumber, like not really like sizing it the way I should have, like for trays and shit, like thinking that through, you know. But anyways, I built it 12 foot long and then split it 8 foot and 4 foot. So I made like a 4 foot by 4 foot little box for a veg, you know, and then I have a 4x8 flower room that's like just a wall separating it. Boom. Okay, I'm good. And then I ended up trying to split that veg into 2 stories, which I still might try and do that, you know, to hold a little bit more plants in there. But and then there was a little cubby spot where the trash cans used to go. So like in that little cubby, I had seen like Loki was running these like little auto pots in there, and I'm like, man, those things are sick, you know. So I bought like the smallest, little cheapest Amazon Autopot setup on Amazon, right? And threw it in that little cubby space under that little high bay LED, and they rocked out, dude. Like I didn't have to do nothing to them, dude. Like I threw them on. I changed that little 12-gallon reservoir and put like this little 30-gallon this little 30-gallon reservoir on there, right? And and man, those things they were sick, you know. So I'm like, all right, this is badass. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy some more of these. So the next run, I bought like another set of those, the two side by side. So I had like they're like 4 pots in there, right? And I threw those in my flower room, and then I threw a tray in there and bought one of those aqua valves and put and just threw some plants in that tray. Kind of the same idea, but it gave me like a lot more flexibility on like how I could space my plants. And I have like basically a 2x4 tray now at this point that I could basically just, arrange whatever size pots anywhere I want. So I'm like, okay, this is pretty badass. So I did a run like that. They rocked out pretty good, and I'm like, man, I want like, okay. So I ended up, I'm trying to think, somewhere in that period of time, I had a russet mite incident. You know what I mean? So that was like a total nightmare. I brought in my buddy had a male that he had popped those. This was right when Todd dropped those original haze, and he had popped a pack of those, and he found like whatever all the males he had. He's like, hey man, I know you make seeds. Like, check out these males I got. And he had, I want to say he brought me 3 males to look at, dude, and they all looked like healthy, but there was like one that was like clearly like, like it was the one I wanted like to do some haze shit with. It had that like perfect little pine cone like bud structure and just like everything I was looking for. So I'm like, all right, yeah, no, I want that one. So I took that male and I grew it on my porch. Like I have a little porch up here separate, and like when it started like dropping, I just brought it down to the room and shook it in my room, dude. That was it. Shook it in my room, brought it right outside, killed it. That was it, dude. And it got russet mites from shaking that fucking male in my room, dude. That was the nail in the coffin. So I went through like a whole like tear my room apart, clean it, gas it with the garden clean, like struggle, built a little quarantine space up on that porch, tried to save like all the cuts I could. I pretty much saved like the important ones, but it was like gnarly, dude. Like, put a pretty good strain like on my relationship, everything, dude. Like it was crazy trying to save those clones, dude. Like just using sulfur, dunking them, taking cuts, dunking the cuts, taking cuts of those cuts, It's like a year later and I still got plants up there, but I got the main ones out of there, And so during that whole time when I had to tear everything apart, my girl was pregnant with our son. And I'm like, man, that whole hydro thing I was thinking about setting up, like that's probably not going to work out because man, I'm gonna like not have time to like be down here fucking with pH and all that. I got to do something that's like, these auto pots are cool. I got to do something kind of similar along those lines. And so when I'm getting started again, I'm like, man, I'm gonna run a bunch of these seeds that I made, at least, because I don't want to bring any clones in or anything. So I have this clean room. So I'm like, all right. So I kind of designed a system with those aqua valves, like a dual root zone type like system that's like totally passive that feeds off 2 larger reservoirs where I could run like a bunch of seeds, So I popped like, I want to say like, I don't know, however many would fit in those trays, man, like 120, something like that. And sexed them, Skunk Man Sam type technique. I want to say, okay, yeah, I should probably run that down for everybody. Like good way to sex your plants. So all you got to do basically have them on. I really like it'll work better. I know if you run them on 24 hours, like cause, that's how I run my veg anyways, because I get like a lot snappier response when I flip. But so run 24 hours of light, flip the lights to 12-12 for. With hazes, I do it for two days. Sam says with longer flowering plants, you want to do 2 days. With shorter flowering plants, you want to do 1 day. But I did 2 days with these and then turn the lights back to 24 hours. And 2 or 3 weeks later, they're shooting pre-flowers. And I weeded out all the males. And I kept some pollen from a couple of them that I liked. But then, just ran all the girls. But it was cool because the system I set up and I put bubblers in the trays, man, with the aqua valve from the autopot. So it's like completely passive and I bubble the water and it turns into like almost like a deep water culture as soon as they get out there. And so using Ponzyme and that, like, dude, they like pretty much just form like this gnarly mat of roots. Like the whole 2x4 and 3x3 tray that I have in there right now are just like a whole mat of like roots. Like if I was like doing a flood and drain, you know, but it's like totally passive except for those air pumps, you know? So anyways, yeah, that's what I got going on right now, at least.
So, which have been some of your favorite strains to what is your favorite strain so far, flat out?
Okay.
Smoke,
Well,
I guess.
I mean, okay, so
Consume.
for right now, like my favorite strain that I grow and that I grow really well and that I like to smoke, I smoke the shit out of AJ Sour Diesel, dude. Like I just got the Diesel cut and I like that and I like that, you know, but I haven't flowered that one yet, but I like the sour, dude. I like the AJ Sour, and then I have a bag seed that I found in some Chuck Norris OG, man, but it's like reminds me exactly of like the SoCal Master Kush from when I was a kid, dude. The little you like, man, just the freaking the taste, the smell, everything, dude. So that's like a close runner up second is that Chuck Norris OG bag seed that I found. But that AJ Sour, that's like my daily driver, dude. I smoke that all the time, you know.
Which has been the biggest yielder you've grown out so far, either indoor, outdoor, you know, the whole process, the whole journey.
Fuck, dude. Well, I mean, outdoor, dude, those big outdoor plants that we did that year, dude, were by far like the biggest yielders that we did. Like at that time period, you could only have like, I want to say they were saying like 10 pounds of processed flour at a time. And so like we literally like had to chop those plants down like and move it like before we could chop down the next one and move it, you know, because they were like over 10 pounders a piece, you know. Like so those for sure, those for sure, like no question about it, those outdoor plants, man, were the biggest yielders I've ever like grown before in my life, you know. That was like cool to be a part of that, you know, because I learned a lot doing that.
I always appreciate a lot of you Cali guys there because the outdoor experience, you know, that you guys have there. You guys have a very rich market. You know what I mean? I don't think
Our
the
climate,
brickweed.
dude, is just beautiful too, though. I mean, yeah, like you guys have it way harder in Michigan, I would think. Your season's so much shorter, you know? Like fuck, dude.
The brickweed there it seems like it was very like a novelty, or it has always been a novelty in the California area. To where here in Michigan, man, there's definitely been periods where that's just what you fucking got.
Yeah. We're spoiled for sure out here when it comes to that, dude. I don't know anything else.
So what initially kind of took you down the breeding path? You know what I mean? Not everybody wants, especially when we were all limited on space. When you would come indoors, man, you're definitely limited in space. So
Yeah,
what
no, for
makes you
sure.
want to switch over to seed production or
Yeah,
breeding?
I mean, I just do it for fun, right? And I just have it's something I always kind of did for like just because we had to in those times, right? And like uh I was always taught when I was young like the importance of like seeds, you know, like when we did those outdoor plants, man, like we could got a hold of cuttings, man. Like those were the 215 days. Like there was like, man, there was but man, all my homies like, man, they only grow from seed, man, outdoor. You know what I mean? Like outdoor, man, something about that tap root and like just like, man, so seeds have always been like an important part of like what we do, man. As far as like my area is like big for outdoor, dude. Like always outdoor in the avocado groves and stuff. So like big seed people, you know. And so I always made seed like originally for myself, and then it kind of like got to be where people would always come hit me up for seed, you know. And like just I'm real detail oriented, like, you know. So like really small details, you know, like, and I think a lot of it just comes from being an artist, like, because like I am that personality, like a person where like, you know, an artistic type, or like, you know, I am for sure that type of person. So like, to me, like making seed and like breeding plants is like painting, you know, like a lot. Like and I know this gets used a lot. You hear Tom McCormick with his crayons, right? But like I've always said this, dude, since I was a kid. And it's like, so like for me, it's like painting more so than anything else, because like with paint, like you're mixing colors a lot, dude. Like you'll get colors out of a tube, right? And I would like more like reckon that towards like an inbred line, you know, where like that's like a color that's like you go to the store and go get that color again if you run out of it or whatever. Like that's a steady color, you know. But like there's certain, like a lot of times, dude, where you'll mix a color and like, man, you can't mix that color again, dude. Like, you know, like it's very like unique and specific, right? And so like there's a lot of times when you're painting, like you'll take and like put a little piece of plastic down over that piece of like that little blob of paint on the palette or whatever to like keep it wet, you know, so that you can come back and paint with that color again, you know. And so it's like a lot of these terpenes and stuff, dude, like to me it's like playing with like paint, you know, like very similar. I see a lot of similarities in it. And like just being super detail oriented, like I love like picking up on like the little like genetic markers, like when you've been working a line. Like I've been in this AJ's like line, you know, which is like just related to all that chem shit, you know. And like you'll see like, okay, so like a lot of double striations come out, boom, the double striations are always like the stinkier ones, you know what I mean? Or like in these hazes that I've been fucking with a little bit, like on the leaves you'll see like the red dot, right? Like where that red stem like bleeds into like the palm of the leaf, and you'll get like that little red dot like where the petiole attaches to the actual like fan leaf, you know. And like those ones are usually the winners, you know, like from my experience, you know, in what I'm seeing and what I'm doing, you know. But I get really into like just looking at those little details and trying to like find like, do they correspond to like, you know, this characteristic, or like do the good plants do this or that, like all that stuff. Like me and Gene talks about it a lot, but like, you know, like that type of thing, you know. I don't know. And I just always like man, like because I used to always lurk the forums or like read stuff online, and like, man, I always loved like Inspecta, man, like Caleb, dude, like that dude, he's so sick, dude. And like he just always like just running like a bunch of like seeds, dude, you know what I mean? Like always running seeds, dude. Like, and I mean, I like cuts and all that, like because I always been exposed to them. And they're definitely like, man, indoor, like I run a lot of like cuts, you know. But like, man, there is something about like, for me, like seeds is like a lottery ticket, you know. Like, and like man, especially like situations like that russet mite thing, like, man, for me, like really bring that home, you know. Because I popped like a bunch of S1, like that just pushed me to pop a bunch of seeds, dude. And it just realized like, man, I wish I had like hit a bunch of those cuts before like all that happened, you know. So I'd have like something like with some of that shit, you know. Like it's just good to lock it down, dude, you know what I mean? Like even if you know, you're not trying to make $1 million off of that or anything, like I would totally suggest like that people like play with that shit, man, and just try to like lock some of this stuff down, man. Because like right now, like I feel like right now, like everything's coming out, you know, like this shit's legal, like people are bringing shit out, you know, like a lot of this old shit's coming out, you know, like. And like, dude, you know, this shit might not stay around, you know, the way things are going. Like it'd be, you know, probably not a bad idea to try to like, you know, throw some of this stuff in the fridge, you know, like like maybe throw a little on ice for you know, 15 years from now when nobody has Gorilla Glue anymore, dude. And like, you know, like some shit like that, you know.
Totally with you. I'm totally with you. And I want to fucking, bro, I gotta give you props on a little bit of something there. Basically your description on strain creation, and I hope you don't mind, but I am most certainly going to
No, for
use it
sure, man.
again at some point. And I love it because you're right. You know, creating a strain is much like in, just like you said, mixing that paint. You know what I mean? For that painting. Once that it's that one time mix, you know what I
A lot of
mean? To
them,
keep
yeah.
that so in my opinion, that one time mix is keeping mother and father alive. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? To keep that mix stirred in that same color, that same strain. You know, you can do it. Somebody else can BX it. They can recreate it, but it ain't. It'll be close, but it'll be always be
Yeah.
a fucking shade off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They never line
You
up
know what I
like
mean?
exactly the same. Yeah, no way.
So that was a beautiful description of creating a strain and kind of, so I appreciate that, man. I most
Oh yeah.
certainly, you'll probably hear it again. I hope
Oh,
you
cool.
fucking smile and go, that was
I
my
will.
shit. That's my
Hell yeah.
shitty dude right there. Hopefully I'll be smart enough to credit you with the description when I say it. But
Oh
I'm
man, you're
usually
too
good
kind.
about that, giving
Yeah.
credit where credit is due. But it's a nice description. I really I dig that for real. So how many have you put together so far? You know,
Oh, hey, bro. My bad. My phone was dying. I had to plug it in. I missed the first part of that last question. I
how
caught the
many
very end of
strains
it.
have you put together? No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, shit. Okay. So, I would say, like, as far like, so, I'd like to like hit a lot of my cuts, and like I hit them with different things sometimes, but I try to like just hit them with like the plainest thing that I could think of at the time, or like something that's not going to be real dominant. So like I have a lot of stuff in the fridge right now, like just a lot of different shit, like gelato, jacks, like just a lot of these cuts that you get, right? Like Cushman's, I hit that. But as far as like strains that I have, dude, so I just like participated in this free seed day with Masonic Smoker. And that's just kind of like giving seeds away to the people, man, get people growing and stuff. And so like if I could say I ever made any strains, like I would say like, so with those, that's that whole haze thing that I was doing. And so with that one, I would say I made, okay, so I hit like 5 cuts in the room there, and I used that male, and I've been growing those out, and so that was like 4 strains, and I didn't really like name them, nothing. I just gave the cross out. But so I did like the original haze male is the male I used, and I hit AJ Sour Diesel. I hit that S1 that I've been calling JFR Skunk. The JFR is for my buddy. That's his initials, or what he would always say his initials are, Johnny fucking Reno, right? And that's a like that's a super skunk type plant, dude. Like it doesn't really smell like it, but like you look at the old pictures of the super skunk, and like the structure on it is very similar. And that popped out of like in it of the sour. And that being an S1, like out of what I made, like really like bred dominantly into the haze. Like so like that one I would say like is probably like out of all of them I made, is probably like my favorite. I hit a couple other cuts, but that one specifically, it like, so it's real single cola dominant. But it puts off like a really like thick like stem, really thick single dominant cola with like some auxiliary like little buds. But you ever seen those trees, the Italian cypress? Do you know what that is? uh Okay, it's kind of like a taper for your ear, kind of just shaped like that. But those big old green trees. Anyways, like that's what the top cola kind of looks like, just super thick. Like, so anyways, if you don't top it, dude, and with the haze in there, I have them all in 1-gallon pots, dude. They're like 8 foot tall, dude, and just have these like gnarly single colas that like, you break them down into just like a bunch of like little pine cone buds. But like, yeah, it's that one seems to be pretty rad. But so I hit so as far as what I made, I hit that S1, the AJ Sour. I hit the All Gas OG by Humboldt Seed Company, and that one was like a washer, dude. That one was really like made really good bubble, dude. Like so we did some fresh frozen with that cut that I used for that, which we found in some seed packs. But it so like on that one's crazy because like on the plant, right? Like when it went into the freezer, that shit like smelled like like a tire fire, almost like burnt rubber, like kind of, you know, but like you know, like if you're having like a fire with, man, it smelled like that, you know. You put it in there and it was strong, man. And so we washed it, and the hash, like when the hash was dry, dude, it smelled like rose oil, dude, like perfume, you know, like it was like a beautiful, like crazy, like transformation, like scent, you know. So I hit that one with the haze mail, like kind of hoping that like maybe it would, because it also like washed well, like it had that sandy like trichome, like when you would like break it up or whatever, like you'd have hash all over your fingers, you know what I mean? And like big yielder, like I don't like ever like weigh my stuff, like I probably should, but like I like work and I don't really like sell weed or nothing, but like we got a lot of yield, you know what I mean? Like we did pretty good on like the whole yield thing on that one. So that was my thought with that one. And I hit okay, and then I have a super silver haze cut that's like a super silver haze like cap piss cut, and where I got that from, like kind of like a weird source that I'm not even gonna give the dude any like type of exposure on this, but it really, where it came from before him was AK Beam Brains, the super silver haze. Well, he's got the Hawaiian, what is it, like the Hawaiian cat piss or whatever, but that's the one that he found on the boat and that whole story anyways. But yeah, that one, man, and it like it just got a beautiful, for a haze, you know what I mean? For a haze, it doesn't have like that standard haze smell. Like I would picture the way they describe like the A5 haze mail, because I haven't grown any of that stuff yet, like the Cuban black or any of that, but the way they describe that smell, like a churchy incense type of, like that's what I get out of it, you know. Like my nose isn't like super great on a lot of that stuff. I'm trying to train it, but like I'm not great with smells, like but no, that one everybody really likes that one. But I thought that one would be interesting too, just to see what kind of pops out. And what it did tend to, like, it really imparted, like I'm running some of those too, and what it really imparted is like the frosty, like super frosty. It's a super frosty, like short squat cut, but like the progeny from the original haze are coming out super tall, but like super frosty, you know. But that classic like haze look on the bud, a little looser structure, but super frosty, you know. And it's good smoke, dude. As far as like the potency, like still like not quite there. Like I feel like the haze brought it up a little bit in the potency, but like yeah, I don't know. That's the stuff my mom likes to smoke. That's the reason I kind of kept that cut around, besides the fact that like it's real perfumey and smells good. Like doesn't really get me high, dude, but my mom does like to smoke it. My mom doesn't smoke very much, but like, you know, it's nice to have a little something for her, like to, you know, every so often. So anyways, but yeah, those were the ones that I hit. So I hit the super silver haze, the AJ sour diesel, the all gas, the JFR skunk, and the and that was, oh, and the GG4 I hit too. So that'll be, we'll see if that'll bring that structure from the GG4 into the haze, you know, because that'd be pretty rad if it would do that. But I haven't run those yet to find out. So, but anyways, yeah, we gave out a bunch of them though. Me and Masonic gave out a bunch of them at Free Seed Day, and that was pretty cool, just to kind of like you know, hopefully get some people growing like some a little bit longer flowering sativas, you know, since they're hybrids. Like we brought the flowering time down, so I got the flowering time down to, like, you know, I don't know, some of these are done 8 and 9 weeks. That JFR skunk's done in 8 or 9 weeks with the haze, but some of these are going to be 10, 11, 12 weekers, you know, maybe even some 14, 15, you know, we'll see. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's how many I made. That's all I made so far, at least, you know.
You know, I hope more and more people get into some of the longer flower stuff too. Me myself, you know, I appreciate it, but it's just hard to work into, basically, like in my grow a perpetual. it's hard to work them into a perpetual, basically.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it is. You have a schedule,
well,
dude. They don't like to work with your schedule, really, you know. But a lot of the
the
special
other
stuff happens like after 14 weeks, you know. I mean, a lot of that you know, like that's where that's where I've seen some of it, you know. But then again, like I'm just a dude, you know. I just work in a machine shop. I just grow and smoke, you know. But I do a perpetual thing, but I can't keep any type of schedule, you know. Like I couldn't tell you how many
well, I
harvests I get a
guess
year or nothing, you know.
if they're all hazes, the perpetual isn't so bad. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
just less, you know.
It
There's less
all
running.
works. Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
Less runs, bigger plants, you know.
I think a lot of us do love, I love the haze. I love a nice haze. I like to smoke a nice haze because I know it's super heady, almost psychedelic. You know what I mean? And that's what I like my cannabis. I like, I like a borderline psychedelic, nice, fun, energetic high that the haze will bring. But
And you kind of feel like a connoisseur.
I think they got lost a little bit in money, flat out money. And I've honestly been one to argue the fact. You know what I mean? Nowadays you've got so many strains that are, 8, 7, 8 weeks, 9. That you're talking the same amount of time. You can have 2 harvests in the same amount of time that you can have that one haze. And unfortunately, the market's a cruel bitch to where you just can't charge double for the haze to make up for the loss and the double flip there. You know what I mean? Multiple weight. So I think you're right. I think the haze are something that, it's a beautiful thing, but it's still kind of on the connoisseur kind of level. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like it's for sure a connoisseur smoke, you know what I mean? And a lot of the flavors are like it's almost like a grown up weed, you know what I mean? You're drinking like, you know, like some gentleman's jack or something, you know, like grown up, like I'm not a drinker, but you know, but anyways, yeah, so but I think that like a lot of times, I mean, okay, so what you're saying, I totally agree with you, right? Like I don't think I don't think you're gonna see any like commercial facilities popping a bunch of haze seeds, you know, in 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 where in Europe or whatever, I guess, like on the Adam Dunn show, they're talking about always that they pay by the flower time or whatever, you know, but that's like the Dutch, I guess they understand that or whatever. But in America, that's not gonna happen, dude. And I think that's like the trade-off of like, okay, you want weed from a dispensary? Well, you don't get to smoke no haze, you know. You want to smoke haze, you gotta grow it yourself most of the time, you know what I mean? And it's a labor of love, like you say, dude. It's like not a easy plant to grow, it's totally on its own schedule, dude, like, and it doesn't want to work with your schedule, you know, if you miss that trellis, and don't slap that trellis up, dude, it's not gonna wait for you, dude. It's gonna grow right up and start falling over, and like you're gonna have a mess on your hands, dude. You have to kind of like you have to be a step ahead of her, you know, like you're not gonna catch up, you know, you're not catching up when you're growing her. Like you got to be a step ahead of everything. You got to flip them quick. You got to know what you're getting into when you're doing it. You know what I mean? And once you get that and get that routine, like the thing is like she does, they make up for the extra flower time in the yield. Like if you take them the distance, dude, like, because you know they have a couple different stages of flowering. Like they'll flower and like do their whole thing, and then boom, they're gonna shoot out a bunch of white hairs and do it all over again. And like that second stretch and that second whole like making flower, like it's gonna pay off like in your yield, you know, for sure. You're gonna get way more out of that than you would like some 8-week indica plant, you know, I mean, per plant or whatever. And like if you fill your space, like she's gonna fill your space like floor to ceiling, you know, even though she's stretched out. So I mean, with these LEDs and stuff, it makes it possible, you know, back in the day, man, I don't even know, like with air cooled hoods and all that, like it would be a nightmare to have to keep like a distance between your lights with these things. Like I could see, like, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if we were still rocking out with I know for a fact I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if we were still doing the HPS or even metal highlight or any of those. But yeah, with the LEDs and stuff, and like you say, I mean, if you're like just growing for smoke and stuff, man, I mean, it's not, you might as well, it's worth a shot, you might like it, I do.
So do you think that possibly if like say Kevin Jodrey and the Growers Association that he's setting up there with the Appalachia type mindset, do you think that we might see, with the outdoor, maybe some hazes come back?
I mean, if people were willing to pay for them, if the demand was there and people were willing to pay like what they cost, people, because you gotta factor in that like we're saying, like they do cost more like to produce, but if I think if people were willing to pay a premium price for like what I would consider to be a premium product, like I know those dudes would grow whatever is selling, you know what I mean? I think for sure they would, and they'd probably grow it really good, but it would just take the people like, I think the people would have to first like be introduced to this, because like for the commercial market, like the stuff we're talking about, like they've only heard stories about this stuff for the most part. You know what I mean? Like they never grown this shit, or like, and even the people growing their own, like, man, they're not gonna grow a haze, so yeah, dude, like this is like a new thing, I think, for a lot of people. Like I think out here in California, we're kind of ahead, and like you kind of been in the whole scene, and like a lot of people that are in the scene are like hip, but like as far as like the general public, like I don't even think they know what they're missing yet, and like bringing out like these 8-week hazes and stuff, like it's not gonna give a great representation of what this plant really can do, like as far as like a longer flowering like plant, you know what I mean? Like, because like I'm saying, like even these 8, 9, like they're not doing the haze thing. Like you got to go like past 12 weeks for it to start doing, like when they talk about the psychedelic, haze and this and that, like those are longer flowering ones, like that's where it really stacks, but like I don't know. I mean, for me, I like that open structure. Like it just packs resin into every crevice, and that open structure like just really like lends itself really well to like just packing a bunch of resin on. So that's my deal,
You struck a point there again. I really agree with, and I hate the fact that you're right on it. Is the fact that a lot of majority just haven't had, that good super strong sativa, and I can't help but wonder. I can't again have had the growers intentionally fucking held it back
withheld, huh?
just because. Yeah, and fuck that, man. I know it's
Maybe.
good. I know it's good, but
Mhm.
man, I just don't have that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost like, because as you said it, and I'm like, I was thinking the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I hope it doesn't become like.
Well, yeah, no, for sure. I'm sure, like, I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there'd be some pushback for sure. You know what I mean?
But it is, definitely some quality cannabis. And I enjoy it every time I come across a nice haze, for sure.
Yeah. No, it's a treat. It's a treat. I mean, especially if you're not growing it, like, to come across that, you're like, oh, hell yeah. I mean, I know for sure I am the same way.
So how many so what would you say would be the closest full sativa you've had? What has been the most psychedelic sativa you've run so far, since we're talking about it being down that kind of realm?
Oh man. All right. let's think, man. I haven't had like, like, man, like Bodhi talks about like having those real psychedelic. Like I've had them on edibles pretty hard, but like I'll tell you, dude, green crack, man. I have to say, like green crack, I had like some experiences like smoking the shit out of green crack, and especially like if you haven't smoked green crack in a while, like because you do build up a little tolerance to it, but like man, like that weed like really sometimes to me like feels like doing like other drugs, not necessarily like psychedelics, but like to me that thing is like an extreme sativa, man. Like that thing is hardcore. With the hazes though, I get like real like high to the point where I kind of forget I'm high, and I'll do like this thing kind of where I like fall asleep and go into like almost a dream state sometimes if it's real good, you know what I mean? Like kind of asleep between asleep and awake, like almost like when I used to catch a nod, like when I was doing like opiates, and like sometimes I'll have some little like wild far out like little daydream things, but I'm not like asleep, but like kind of in that in between like not out like little period, but I still haven't found like that one that's like that, you know what I mean? But the ones that I've noticed that really like hit hard like that like are the ones that end up going really long, that are like a total bitch. And it's just like I don't know, like for me, like I just really feel like weed is like a big like trade-off, you know what I mean? Like if you want the good high, you got to deal with like the bitchy ass plant. Like man, my OG that like I really love, like man, she just gets cranky. Like I got to take her out every year and like put her outside on the porch and let her get like sun, and then like bring her back in, and she'll usually go to flower, so then I'll put her back in the bedroom and she'll like re-veg and she'll come back real strong. But like she's fire, dude, and she like and even my sour, I had to go get another cut of the sour because the first cut I got, like when I got it to the russet mites, like it wasn't the same, dude. I don't know, like if it dudded or like got some sort of like, I don't know, man. But all my favorite ones, like the sour is real vigorous when she's good, but like she got sick on me pretty easily the last time. So I've been like really like going through like a lot of shit to be careful, like cloning her and everything, like to just try to not pass any of those like viruses or whatever. But like, yeah, it seems like the best weed, dude, like the best smoking shit is kind of like a bitch to grow, dude. Like sometimes that's like a tip off for me. Like if one's finicky, like I stick with it, dude, because I know like man, a lot of the worst shit I ever like had to grow was like the best shit I ever smoked, like that's for sure. Like and you hear people say that like all the time too. Like and it's just like with the skunk, like the trade-off is like like yeah, you want the skunk smell, like it throws balls. Like you want to weed out the herms, you lose the skunk. Like you know what I mean? Like that's or so they say. Like I don't want to start any controversy with that, but I mean I do believe that like yeah, it's like a herm thing. You know what I mean? And like people being militant about herms, like I don't know if it's ever gonna come back like it was. But like that's what I'm seeing as I'm making seeds, that like a lot of stuff is a trade-off, and like I think that's the trade-off that people don't really know they're missing because they're not getting to experience the other side of it. But like if you don't believe me, man, take a plant 14 weeks and let's see. I mean I think everyone should do it one time to say you did it, you know what I mean? Like because it's worth it. Like I mean I think it is. It's something something you want to do once, I think, for sure.
I think some of the strongest terpene profiles lay there, to be honest with you. Anything that I've had that's been super loud, I've had to take 10 plus weeks.
Yeah.
And then that shit was just amazingly terpene.
I think there's something to it, like the fact that it just has more time to do its thing. You know what I mean? Like, cause like I don't know, like I always feel like those last 2 weeks where everybody pulls it 2 weeks early, like to me it feels like that last 2 weeks is where it does the thing. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to like take it before it does the thing. You know what I mean? Like if it has more time to do that thing, like I think it just keeps doing that thing, like that that thing that does the last 2 weeks. Like you do it. I don't know. Like those plants that are designed for that. I mean, you don't want to just take some plants like an 8 week or like 12 weeks, but like, you know what I mean? Like the plants that are like equatorials. And I think so, like, obviously I'm breeding, growing and gravitating towards stuff that do good in my room, you know, and like without a air conditioner and stuff, like I can, I mean, I have a dehumidifier, but like I said, like I'm kind of short on power. So like it's sometimes my like dehumidifier will trip some shit, you know? So like I have to be real selective when I can run that shit and everything. And like with my, I'm like, I have an HOA, dude. They won't let me put a vent in the front of my garage to like, you know, so like, it's just, it's a struggle, like to keep my environment, like, you know, dialed in, like, and I have a pulse that like constantly send me reminders to tell me how like out of whack my environment is. But, it's not far off and I do pretty good. I mean, I moved some air, dude. I got all my fans turned off, but I got some fans and shit. And I do move some air. But what I'm getting at is like, I feel like a lot of the equatorials are more well suited, like to do well in my specific environment. You know what I mean? A lot of the thin leaves. So that may be also another reason that I've kind of gravitated towards that, because that is what grows good where I'm, you know, in my microclimate, you know?
Cheers with chat was asking what kind of lights do you use indoors?
Okay. Well, I got two HLGs that I'm using. I have the 600, the Scorpion 600 watt, and I got a 550 Eco, the like the old school one. But I got a good deal on that one. But yeah, no, I got the to do that 4x8. I got the 550 and the 600 Scorpion. Not the Diablo, but the one before that, the red one. I would show you guys my room, but my lights are off right now. I don't want to fuck that up.
Yeah, I don't worry. No worries. No worries. They were just asking.
No worries. Yeah, for sure.
So do you have an indica favorite on the opposite end of the scale?
OG,
you know, you
yeah,
do need to
OG for
balance
sure. I mean,
sometimes, yeah.
yeah, and it's like so, like, yeah, pretty much like the stereotypical answer. But I love OG, man. But I think it's a California thing too. This is the shit I grew up on. But you know what? Like, well, when I was a kid, yeah, I used to like White Widow a lot too, man. White Widow was really good. Like when I was younger, I used to really like Super Silver Haze. That was like one of my favorites, dude. For some reason, I got like some super good bag of Super Silver Haze when I was a kid. And then the White Widow was always fucking fire. And OG, man. OG was always and I don't know what cut of OG like they were growing in my area, you know, because like I haven't really even got to smell them all, but it was like a musty basement one. And like now me with this Chuck Norris that got that SoCal Master, I think that's the one that I was smoking. But I don't know. But that OG, like the basement funky, like musty OG is like on the indica side, like that's what I really like. But I also like a lot of Afghani stuff, you know what I mean? So like a lot of different hash plants. It has the word white in it. Usually I'm all over it, you know, or hash plant, you know, anything like that. I like all that, you know, frosty stuff, you know.
You've kind of mentioned a little bit about making hash. Uh, do you prefer bubble? Do you do the rosin, the whole gauntlet from hash
Okay.
to rosin?
Yeah, so I love bubble hash, dude. I make super good like full melt hash. And well, I mean I do when I have good material. So, but sometimes I don't make full melt. But I make I make bubble now. Obviously I stay away from BHO, like you know what I mean, for obvious reasons. But I do fuck with the bubble. And then so recently my friend had a press and he gave me a bunch of material and he wanted me to make some hash for us to press into rosin. And we tried it. And I mean, I made what would normally be good, like bubble, but I think it's because I was using those cheap bags or something, man. Cause but I don't know, he might not have let it dry out all the way, but I'm learning the rosin, man. I never smoked rosin before that, but we pressed that and I smoked that stuff, and I really like that a lot. But yeah, I would never buy it at the store. This shit's so expensive. But yeah, no, making it myself, I kind of want another. I feel like I haven't conquered that yet, because I don't know, that rosin, like I thought it was good, but it was my first time ever smoking rosin, and so I don't have nothing to compare it to. But my homeboy didn't really like it that much, so must not have been that good. But the hash that went into it was like, everybody admitted that was good, So yeah, rosin, I'm learning, dude. I want to learn more. I'm excited to kind of get into that, but hash and that type of stuff, that's the type of stuff that I love, dude. Like real detail oriented, like artisan type, like stuff where I can really like try to push it to the next level. Like I'm into that stuff, dude. So yeah, I definitely do. I'm gonna change my process though. I've been using this freaking bubble magic machine, man. I'm gonna dump that thing and like do the just hand rowing, dude. Like that thing, I try to clean it, like, and like as a tattoo guy, like we had to go through all our bloodborne pathogens and all that. So like like germs and stuff already. Like I'm kind of like once you can't unknow that type of stuff. You know what I mean? When you learn that shit, like about. And now learning more about, like, it gave me a good intro to microbes and stuff. But yeah, like, I don't know, there's some funky smells that come out of that thing, and I try to take it apart and clean it, and like, I don't know, there's just like, I feel like there's like crevices I can't get to or something, so I am going to get rid of that thing. But that was a cool like thing to give me the idea. But yeah, no, I'm ready to keep taking that to the next level. But yeah, I guess in my little friend group, like nobody else ever wants to fuck with the material. Like they're like not those types of people, and they just give it to me and I make the hash. So I like it. I used to do like the dry sip with or the dry ice with the mesh bag. I don't know if you ever done that, where you shake it over like a mirror, and I don't know if that's dry sift or what you'd even call that, but I did that like back when I was a kid, too. That and the paint stirrer with the drill, But that hash came out black. This stuff that we make now is way better, But yeah, French. I learned from Frenchie. I learned everything on YouTube, man. Like, besides like like the old time stuff, but like all the like new school, like I was always the one introducing like all my friends to it. Like I was always on YouTube. Like even now, dude, I spend like way too much time on YouTube.
I kind of agree with you a little bit about the machine. I wish
Yeah.
maybe that more maybe it'd be something I have to do my damn self. You know what I mean? About the proper cleaning of the machine. There's lots of videos out there on how to make bubble hash, but you're right, man. The fucking cleaning that machine properly. There's no fucking videos out there on how to freaking take that thing apart. And it's not necessarily that bad. It's a little time consuming to necessarily, take the top off, pull the
Little rotary
agitator out. Yeah, and fucking clean. Major part of that is getting rid of that corrugated hose that
Oh yeah.
hides a lot of that nastiness.
If
When
you
I
watch
went
the
to the
Frenchie
20
video,
gallon
he'll tell you.
machine, I hard piped everything
Okay.
and kind of where it kind of came out the machine. So it comes out the bottom 22 and a half, 22 and a half. So it's not a 90, it's kind of a sloping 45. And you can get in there and can clean that out, that path, and
That's
then
rad.
clean out,
That's rad.
the ball valve and everything else, and then put it back. So you can clean that machine. But I'm not ready to give up the machine. I can appreciate the hand method. You know what I mean? The gentle beating of the hand method. It does make a nice quality of a hash. But in my experience, there's times where you've washed, you've done your 3 minute cycle, if that, you know what I mean, your agitation. I run it a couple of times. I run it until she quits giving. I get that. And I know Once you pull a bag and you get that like perforated, it looks like it should almost be in the fucking 160 bag. You know what I mean? You're probably one wash too many at that point. You know what I mean? But there's times where you've washed, you've run that in particular run 2-3 times, and she just broke loose. You know what I mean? She just started to fucking give. Just broke loose and started to give at that point. And I think if you're working hand, you know what I mean, working that same material with hand, you may not see that point, or you may give up before reaching it because it's a little bit more work, I guess.
That's funny. I never really thought about that, but you're right. Like a lot of times it'll be like because like you're saying, I'll do the couple gentle ones right at the beginning, and that machine is good for like getting into a rhythm of like, okay, like start your cycle, okay, now pull your bags, okay, clean your bags, then you can end your cycle and drain the next one. I mean, you get a good little flow going there. But I do know what you're saying. Like they start to dump like the second or third wash, and when you kind of start to hit it hard, and I don't know if that's like the ice melting to that perfect amount, or just that it's been like knocked around to the amount where it just really, with the certain ones, just starts to knock those heads off, or what it is. But like you are right about that. Like and I do think you have to put a little bit of elbow to like get that, like that dump, like you're saying, because the machine's working for a minute before it kind of does that like second wave, like you're saying. Sometimes that's like even bigger than the initial, like the initial one. So yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's kind of the one. You're right about that. I don't know. Like you're saying, I might just buy a new machine. They're only like $60 online. It's kind of a pain in the ass to change that hose, but like, yeah, you got to do that right away. But yeah, for $60 on Amazon, man, buy the knockoff. Probably just buy a new one every couple times or something. Might be worth it.
Right. Right on. Right on. Well, yeah, I tell you what, I stepped up to the 20 about a year ago, and there's pluses and minuses there. I didn't like about the 20 initially, but once I fucking ripped out them 45s, I pretty much revamped that whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
Went around the whole, even in it has drains in it underneath that you have to totally bypass that had that corrugated shit. But once you got all that out of there and simplified it, you know what I mean? It's a nice machine and it's super easy to clean once you got all the bullshit out of it. But it did take a little bit of modifications to get it to where I wanted to get. I ended up wrapping it with fucking hot water heater installation and shit. So it's nice, man. I can do a nice wash and then do the multiple washes. You know what I mean? I've kind of saved a little bit of time by doing the 20 instead of doing multiple runs in the 8-gallon or the 5-gallon machine there. So
yeah. No, for sure, that I actually heard another pretty good tip on watching that guy Turp Wizard talking, and I'm gonna try it. I don't know. Do you normally run like your what is it, the cooking hash? I want to say it's the 25 and the 60 or whatever, the real fine mesh. Do you run those like the whole time? Because this dude was saying it would, and it makes sense just to run.
I lost you there, WormDawwg. Right after like fine mesh.
Okay, yeah, like the fine mesh bag.
I still can't hear you.
Oh shit! Here, let me see.
Hold on. I bet it's fucking me. Hold on, don't change nothing.
Is that better?
My headphone went dead.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, boy, I bet it's me. Try saying something.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay. My headset went dead.
It could have been mine too. Okay, no. So I was saying, okay, so rather than like the whole time pulling the fine mesh, like I want to say it's the 25 and the real fine ones that you use for cooking and stuff. Like rather than run your water through those like every wash, just leave that till the very end, and like at the very end, just dump that through your 25 and get that out. I thought that was like a pretty good little tip that I want to try out. I don't know if you do that already or what, but that seemed like that would save some time, you know, just to get that. And then do you cook with your hash? Because that's like specifically like what I put in my like coconut oil is like just I'll put like 7 grams like in like a batch of that, you know, and like that'll do me pretty good, you know, that little 25 micron or whatever the hash you don't really want to smoke anymore, you know, like the low grade stuff. But yeah, I throw that in with the cooking stuff in the crock pot. I don't know if you do that, but that's pretty good little tip for the edibles, man.
I do use some hash for edibles. It's easy to throw just a nice little gram and some oil and let it just kind of fucking dissipate, and then use it whatever you want in it. As far as the 25 bag is very strain dependent. I used to fucking use it, you know, in the beginning all the time. I've gotten to the point now where I think I've got a good nice shake basically with that 25. If I use it, basically I like just give it a nice up real quick and then a real pull, a nice quick wham on the way down. You know what I mean? And I can empty a 25 pretty quickly, but I know I'm losing some. You know what I mean? As far as setting that water aside, it's no, it's an either I'm pulling it or I'm not pulling it. That'd be just another, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Another
step,
process.
yeah.
Yeah, another lengthy process.
Yeah,
I fucking if I'm not, I use that shit for my plants, man. At that
yeah,
point, man, I
dude,
just
they love that too, man. Like you let it warm up. Hey, but if you let it like you notice how like after a couple days it'll start stinking and stuff. Like you don't have to worry about that, huh? Like you could still use it, or you should get rid of it when it starts stinking.
once it starts stinking, I don't like to use it. I try to use it the next day, just after she's warmed up a little bit, room temperature, dump it on them. I
Yeah,
start to wonder once she gets to kick in there,
man.
because
But
it
you
does
like
get to kick
notice
in pretty
growth
quickly.
quickly, yeah, dude. But I mean, fuck, dude. I first did that a couple months ago, man, and I tripped out. Like, man, I noticeably like my plants grew. Like, it was pretty cool, man. I'm always doing that now.
I find that I found because I've been doing it for quite a while, but I kind of learned at one point you got to be careful. I thought it would be a good flush, to be honest with you. I'm
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? It's all turvy and shit.
turps.
It's
Yeah,
just, I'm flushing them anyway. It's just
yeah.
fucking plant water.
Yeah.
Well, fucking, them bitches fucking just
Loaded with
looked at me and
nutrient.
fucking, yeah, just started taking back off and shit. I'm like, no, I didn't want that. That wasn't supposed to happen. It was just supposed to be terpy. So, yeah, like definitely early flower, mid flower start
Yeah,
towards the end there, I wouldn't suggest it. But veg,
yeah,
early flower, mid flower, hell yeah, they love it.
yeah. Hell yeah, they do.
So do you have I'm one of the people too, man. I love my hash and I love it just as the bubble. It breaks my
Yeah,
heart to actually see it pressed into the rosin. I think, you know, there's just if you to me, in my opinion, once you get to that phase, man, you're kind of pulling too much out of it. You know what I mean? You're extracting, you're extracting, you're extracting. Is it a good high? Yes. You know what I mean? But is it a good medicine? I don't know, because you're taking so much out of it. You know, I think straight flower pressing, you're getting terps. You know what I mean? You're getting all as much oils and shit as possible out of it. You haven't lost anything through the water or any of the process. You're not all busted up. You know what I'm saying? I just wish the flower or the rosin guys would just quit fucking squishing. I said this the other night, and the more I thought about it, I think I'm fucking right. I think the hash rosin, as good as it is, I think that shit was a fucking ploy by the press companies to just give you that shot. You know what I mean? That just don't
yeah,
that make you want the press. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Oh, for sure, dude. For sure. Like, they wouldn't show you like pressing flour with just like some little smattering of like rosin on the outside edge, you know, like they're gonna show you like the hash dump where it's just like dumping like rosin, you know. Like for me, I like okay, so I have like very little experience with rosin, right? But what I did get because I got a couple grams and dude, I liked it, right? But like man, my melt that I make that melts that like I can dab like in a bucket, you know, that like man, it's different, dude. Like for me, like I can like okay, like the rosin, like it got me head high, but like I think there's something in that, like you're saying, like that full spectrum type of thing that like I feel like a noticeable body high, you know, and like that's like a lot of what I'm smoking for too, dude. Like and I do like a lot of indicas, dude, and like I do like that's one of the things I love like with weed, like when you get like that noticeable like body fry, you know, like I think like some of that's like CBN or some of these other like, you know, but I still get that like especially like with melt, dude, like because it's like intensified, you know, but like I feel like it's a shame, dude. Like, man, bringing that dude like all that like full melt hash and having him press it to rosin. Like the rosin was good, but I still felt like sad to like press the melt, dude. The melt was beautiful, dude. It was that apple mac. It smelled just like green apples, dude. And like I don't feel like the fucking rosin was quite as terpy. Like it was good, dude, but like that melt, like I don't know, dude. Yeah, I'm a hash guy too. I like hash. That's what I grew up on, I guess. But yeah, I'm new to rosin, but I'm with you, dude. It's a shame to press melt, dude. If it's gonna melt, just dab the melt. You know, like that's a public service announcement. I think. You know.
A pretty good one too, I think. Pretty good one. So, where do you see yourself kind of going in the future with cannabis? Is it more leaning towards the breeding side of things? Do you think maybe someday upscales? Or will you keep it
I
personal? Where do you see yourself going?
I like where it's at kind of right now, right? Like where do I see myself going? Like, okay, I just had a son, I have my family and stuff, so we're gonna need more space. Like our condo's not gonna be good forever. Like I don't play like where I love to be is outside, dude. I love to be growing outdoors. I got a taste of this indoor thing, and like I probably like won't give it up. You know, like when we get, you know, because we're talking about buying a house and stuff. We're looking, you know, obviously with no HOA and all that, but you know, like where I see myself in the future with weed and all that, like I'm gonna stay working my job probably. I mean, I don't see me like quit my job and like, you know, being some seed breeder or anything, but like I would like to hold on to like this stuff that I think is like really special, you know, that like I grew up with and like, you know, like for me, like I feel like we stand on the shoulders of like giants and those guys stand on the shoulders of people we don't even know, you know, like and it's like, you know, to think that like, okay, yeah, weed's so much better now than it was back then. Like the weed nowadays, like comes from the weed back then, you know? So like all those genes, like they're all locked in there, you know what I mean? Like, and that's like another thing that like I've found and that the old guys have told me and that like I've experienced now for myself. Like if you're looking for like a parent, like one of these old parents, like and you have like seed stock or whatever of some like a cross, you know, like that shit's in there, you know, and like if you have the cut and you're trying to get like one of the parents, like, and you self that cut, dude, like with some SCS, like, and you run those seeds, dude, and run a lot of seeds, dude, like you'll find something close to that parent, you know, like they're in there, you know. So like for me, like my vision for all this is I just want to have a fridge full of the stuff that like was special and is special, you know, still. And like the stuff that like, you know, everybody I know went to jail for and everything. Like I think that there's something to that, like, you know, like man, I don't know. I love the old cuts, man. I love the old cuts. I love some of the new cuts too, you know, but I don't love all the new cuts. I don't love all the old cuts either. But I mean, like there's a lot of stuff that I want to preserve, man, and that's why I make seed, and that's why I do what I do, as far as holding plants and like, I try to be that guy that's always, holding on to shit. Sometimes I do lose shit, but like for the most part, like I'm the one in my little group that like will have that cut. You come back and get it from me or whatever, and so where do I see myself? I don't know that I see myself getting involved in the industry. Like I've done that before, but I also had a bad experience and a few bad experiences. And, for me, I don't want to close any doors, and I don't want to, paint myself into a corner in any type of way, I'm gonna see what experience presents itself, as right now goes, like I love what I'm doing, man. I love my family. I love my little room, and I love playing around with these little cuts that I get. And I love that, like, man, everybody's bringing everything out, dude, because shit's legal, and like this shit's all kind of like getting around and coming out, and like we kind of get to, like, man, fuck, dude, that Diesel, dude, like, man, I fucking got that cut, man. Like I've been wanting that cut for fucking my whole life, dude. You know what I mean? And like, boom, now now you could just go buy this shit. You know what I mean? So like, for me, like, it's like a dream come true, kind of like I'm like a kid in a candy store, like with all this shit that's available, like to play with, and like for me, like I had that scare with the Russet Mites, man, like, and it's just like I don't want to, like, man, I love this shit that I smoke, like I wouldn't want to have to go to the dispensary and like smoke some like cookies or something. Like that wouldn't really cut it for me, like. So I don't know, like I see like a lot of value in a lot of this older stuff, and I don't see like a lot of people really like feeling the same way that I do. Like there's a few, and there's people that I talk to that like feel the same way, but even like my friends, dude, like, like, dude, they don't care, like, you know what I mean? Like, and for me, like, I think it's important, dude, you know what I mean? I think it's important that there's people doing it, you know what I mean? Like, not everybody has to do it, but like somebody's got to do it, you know what I mean? And like we should have a few people doing it, like just to back some shit up, and like, you might not have the cut or nothing, but like you put some seeds together and you got like you got it there, you know what I mean? It's in there, like bits and pieces of it all over the place, mixed up, and but you can put something together and you can find something close, and you run enough of them, dude, you'd be surprised. Like I'm constantly surprised, like, and the more seeds I pop, like at a time, like the more crazy, different, crazy, like shit that I see coming out of there. And it's just like, it's cool to just like pop a bunch of seeds, dude, and just see what's in there. Like, see what's in that line, see what's going, like, man, it's interesting, dude. It's one of those things where I think like everyone gets to that like point, like in their evolution of like growing, where like, you try to make seeds, and like either it's something that you take to and you like doing it, you like talking about it, you like going deep with it, or like you don't, and like for me, I always been into the history, like before I even cared about making seeds. And like honestly, I think that's like a lot of these guys talk about that, like knowing your strain history, knowing like this stuff's important, right? For like, if you want to know where is that trait coming from when you're, fucking around with this shit, or a lot of that stuff's important, so like just being into that stuff is probably like another part of it, but yeah, fuck, I lost it, dude. I think but yeah, no, I think that a lot of these guys that came before us, man, they did some shit, man, and like we're still coasting off of a lot of the work that they did. You know what I mean? And I think it's important to recognize that and to like do your part to like preserve the shit that you think is cool, dude. Like everybody likes different shit, and that's like the beauty of it. And like if you like something special, dude, like, you can't count on like other people are gonna like that shit too. Like you better put it away, dude, because like you're saying, this federal shit's coming, like they're talking, like hazes, they're not commercially viable. Boom, axe them, dude. You know what I mean? You want to let that shit go? Fuck no, man. Sam's been holding on to that fucking seed stock for fucking our whole life. You know what I mean? Like, and before him, Sacred Seeds and whoever those secretive ass dudes, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of cool history, man. And a lot of people went through a lot of shit, like just to let this shit go to, you can't let it just happen like that. Like there's going to be people holding shit down, man. I know there's people out there like in the smallest little corners, and they were like working shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, for me, I'm trying to take advantage of like the fact that, man, everybody's bringing shit out, and like, man, I'm gonna load my fridge up, man. I'm getting cuts, I'm making seed, and I'm gonna just be like packing my fridge full of shit, man. So when the zombie apocalypse comes, man, hit me up, man.
Floor Nugs in chat was asking, have you ever run the Wilson?
Oh man, I run some Wilson crosses, man. It's funny because I just got past some Wilson F4 seeds, man, and I like never fuck with no trop shit before, man. But Mason's my boy, man. So I'm gonna pop those Wilson F4s this year, man. So check back with me, and I'll let you know what I think in a couple months, man. I'm gonna get those wet. Now that you said something, I'll get them wet, man. I'll get them wet tonight, man. Fuck it, we get those wet too, man. I've been popping a bunch of seeds, man. We pop some more, man. Fuck it.
I definitely love popping seeds myself, man. So, do you prefer the hunt, or let me ask you this. All right. In a perfect world, because I think hopefully we're coming towards
Are we almost
this.
there?
Breeder cut, or, would you prefer to hunt it yourself? Seed or breeder cut?
Well,
Certified.
Okay,
That's the
okay.
one thing I think they're going to be coming to at a point where they're certified. There would be
to me, like
a
that, a
little
lot of
birth
that
certificate with it, little stamp. This fucker's
COA,
real.
little COA type of thing, certificate of authenticity. But I mean, okay, so a lot of that would depend on whose selection, like the breeder's cut, right? Because like that word gets thrown around a lot these days, man. And like just some old Joe Schmo's breeder cut, I'm gonna go for the seeds. You know what I mean? I open pollinate and look through some shit. But a lot of this stuff is all situational, right? Like, I mean, any of these questions, right? That's like the cop out answer. Oh man, I mean, it's based on the situation, right? But like, it is, right? I mean, if if there's something specific, like I want to plant that tastes like cherry lime, you know what I mean? Do I want that breeder's cut or I want the seeds, man? I'm gonna go for the breeder's cut because I know he's already hunted the cherry lime. Why am I gonna reinvent the wheel type of shit? Like if I'm looking for that specific terp profile, man, and there's a breeder's cut that's clean, that's got that terp profile, and it's gonna do what I need it to do, why the fuck am I waste my time on some seeds? But like if I have like, like, man, like I don't know, like whatever, like roadkill skunk, the cut, or like some seed stock of some old Afghani that you guarantee that the roadkill's in there, but you get the seed stock, man, I'm gonna go for the seed stock because I mean I know that or I'm pretty sure, whatever. I'll take that chance. If there's a good chance I'm gonna find it in the seed stock, you're gonna find the journey is like you say. I mean, it's something that you have to kind of like do it for yourself, and you got to find some stuff that you're really excited about. And like, like if you went to the casino and you lost every time you went, man, you wouldn't never want to go back, you know what I mean? But you go and you win one time, man, and it's over with. Like you're a gambling addict type of shit because you're like riding off that high. And like, man, I always relate sees the lottery ticket to gambling, like, because that's what it is, man. You're rolling the dice on some shit, man. And like, okay, if you got a 10 pack, like and you're serious about some shit, open pollinate that shit, man, and get yourself 200, 2,000, a million seeds of that shit and run those, dude. And like, if you're really serious, I mean, if you're just playing around and man, maybe I'll find it, maybe I won't. But I mean, that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean? Is like, you could buy a 10 pack and you can find what you're looking for. I mean, it's going to take you being committed and running this shit a couple times, running it once, open pollinating it, and then running a bunch of seeds and spending the time and the money and shit. But like I can't say enough about seeds, dude. Like I just all these cuts came from a seed, like the next elite cut is going to come from the next seed that gets popped, and I mean, for me, dude, yeah, I want to pop the seeds, I think, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I've had bad experiences with cuts and like not with seeds, like if I had to pick, you're sending me to a desert island, send me with the seed stock, dude. Don't send me with the cut, for sure.
I can definitely appreciate that answer 100%. 100%. I think too much has been the only thing I really like about the what I kind of said there in the latter about the certified clones is I'm kind of hoping that that will clean up some of the bullshit floating around. How many times has, and that's another thing too. I guess there's people that so many people that pop other strain. Well, that strain that's been reworked in somebody's garden, and then they put out a clone of it. Somebody sour D so that they be X or whatever. I think it's kind of swayed back and forth to where it's still a little gray. So it'd be nice to see, this is exactly what this is, and it kind of clean up some of the base.
Well, like, okay, so like, yeah, you're right? That would be nice for people like you and me. That would be beautiful, right? Like for people like Rez and like people like, like some of these dudes, like that would not be a good thing. Like, I feel like there might be some of these dudes that like don't want that. Cause like for me, like, I feel like it's like kind of ridiculous that we don't have that. Honestly, like the amount of testing that goes into like every nug, right? Like, and you can easily just send away like a DNA test, like for yourself, like a human genome test or whatever, like send it in the mail. Like I can't imagine it would be that much harder to like map the gene sequences of these, like, and you like you're saying, like you map the gene of like whatever its mean genes cut. Okay, he's gonna want the one that brings the cut. Okay, this is the certified one. Boom, like the Phylos thing, but like having, like you're saying, like the people whose they are, like giving them to them, so so you have that baseline, right? And because that's what Phylos is missing, was that baseline of like, okay, this is the OG Kush genome, and then you know what I mean. So yeah, I think like it's almost ridiculous we don't do that. Like it almost seems like maybe there's someone that doesn't want that to happen. Maybe these dudes running all these fake cuts like are lobbying.
So do you mess with the edibles at all?
Yeah, I love edibles. No, for sure. I think that goes back to like the opiate thing too, because like honestly, like that's like the closest thing I get. And like I don't do them a lot because like they kind of lose their effect. Well, I do them like as often as I can, but like you said, it's kind of a process because I'll make like bubble and like put that in. But yeah, I love edibles, dude. A lot of times I'll do like that coconut oil, and I'll just leave it in the fridge. And my stepdaughter got this recipe for like a mug cake, right? But it's like a mud cake, like that you make in a like coffee mug, and like it's on the fridge. It's like a spoon of flour, a couple spoons of sugar, this and that, an egg, and you throw it in the microwave, right? But it like calls for butter, and I just throw oil in there instead of butter. Throw that thing in the microwave, and dude, yeah, those little mug cakes, man, those things that rock my world, man. But yeah, that's how I do it, man. That's my favorite little recipe that I found. I used to do the brownies and shit, but like you make a whole tray, and then like the ones in the fridge are like cold and like not as like, you know what I mean? Like the fresh one's always good, but like I don't know, man. But yeah, that little mug cake thing, man, that might even be on the internet. But yeah, doing something like that in the microwave, that thing works out pretty good, man. A little mug full of like just chocolatey goodness, man. But yeah, no, I fuck with edibles tough, dude. That I like edibles a lot, dude. I really like edibles.
I do too, man. I was trying to not necessarily sell them, but sell the idea uh, of edibles to a friend of mine the other night, man. In fact, I was kind of arguing the opposite of what you're saying there. I was like, man, because I'm trying to get him to use it for more of a medicine, basically. And so this is what I have found with the edibles. Not necessarily that they kind of lose. Yeah, I guess they whatever lose that buzz. But for me, edibles work like this. Because I don't necessarily do them all the time, but I wish I would. If I could find, they weren't always the ones I like so damn sugar based. Because I usually fuck myself up by just gobbling a handful of sugar down. You know what I mean? But first day, nice buzz, nice buzz, and people don't necessarily realize that the edibles can come with an edible hangover. So edibles for me, that's that first day of getting fucking tore up, day 2, an edible hangover, but you go back in, which that day is usually just kind of kick back, fucking doing something, sitting down, watching TV, hanging out in front of the computer, whatever. Day 3, that shit's just like fucking a lubricant at that point, man. The joints are loose, man. You're fucking ready to fucking tackle whatever you got to tackle at that point. But you're right, the high, the buzz isn't there at that point. More, it's just like I'm saying, it's more of a body lubricant at that point. You muted, brother.
My bad. Yeah, no, they do for sure still work, dude. But they're like, yeah, you're right. They don't work as well, like if you do it every day. But yeah, no, and like it is cool, like the way that they dose them now, and like that kind of like with the hash makes it like much easier to dose. You know what I mean? So like if I put like 7 grams of like bubble in there, you know what I mean? Granted, like it's not 100% THC, but like you can kind of like find your happy place, like where you want to be and type of thing. Like, you know, by taking like 7 grams, you split it into 7 pieces, like, okay, then, you know, or whatever you want to do, you know? But yeah, like something like that. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And that's like been a pretty like, that's always when I talk to people about like, okay, they don't want to eat edibles, right? Like, most of them have had a bad experience in the past where they ate an edible and like they had to like, you know, go to an interview in like 4 hours, and like you said, like they're like floored for like 12, you know, or like some, you know, something like that where just it totally fucked their day up. Like I actually had an experience like that one time when I was doing a tattoo at this I was like kind of I was at a girlfriend's house that we had just broke up, right? But I was still living at the house while I was moving out, and I was tattooing this chick at the house, and I was on probation, right? So I wasn't like smoking at the time, but like we're doing this tattoo, and I'm like drilling on this chick's leg. I was doing a rose. I remember I was doing a rose on this chick's like the back of her calf, and we were like maybe like an hour into it, and I'm like, she's kind of squirming. I'm like, man, let's take a break. So I've taken a break. I'm like, man, I'm gonna make some food, but like I kind of don't live at this house anymore. Like kind of my stuff's still there, but like I kind of moved out halfway already. So like I'm just going through her fridge, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna eat, like make a sandwich, you know. And then I'm like, all right, cool. I grabbed, there was like a tray of brownies. I'm like, oh sweet, you know, grab a couple of brownies and some milk. And I'm like, I call her. I'm like, hey, I'm at the house doing a tattoo. She's all pissed because she didn't want me there or whatever. I'm like, man, whatever. I'm gonna finish this thing. So I'm like eating these brownies as I'm talking to her, and she's like, man, you better not eat those fucking brownies in the fridge. You know, I'm like, why? She's like, oh man. And so, anyways, yeah, I wasn't smoking. I didn't know, and I ate these brownies that she got from my homeboy that like makes really good edibles, man. And yeah, dude, I told this chick, hey, man, we better hurry up and do this tattoo, man, because I'm about to fucking check out for a couple hours. And yeah, that was, I mean, it was rad in the way that like I got super high, but it was not rad in the fact I had to test that month. But I think I pulled it off, but I was worried about it. You know, I was sweating it for a little bit, but I didn't mean to. That was the only time that's ever happened to me. It's like a movie or something, man. Like accidentally ate some brownie, and I didn't taste it or nothing, man, till she said something. I'm eating the last bite, and I could kind of taste it, like the aftertaste, and I'm like, oh shit, and I just finished it then. You know, it's too late, but
That's funny. And what I kind of I've learned to live about that is, man, listen to your tattoo guy. He says it's time to be
yeah,
done. It's
oh
time
yeah.
to be done.
That's for sure, dude. If he doesn't want to be there, you don't want him to be there. You know what I mean? We'll pick it up next time, you know, for sure.
So you mentioned it early on, the dreads, and for some reason, and again, it's probably asinine a little, you know, uh, I couldn't picture it. Just
Yeah,
the tattoos,
everybody says that.
and the dreads don't seem to, you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know. They kind of
Uh,
so what made you lose? What made you lose the dreads there? I actually had to go
okay.
back on your page and check them out. Man. Yeah, you
Okay.
had it's pretty sweet
Yeah,
dreads.
they're pretty good.
That's a
Yeah.
change.
Oh,
That's
for
a fucking
sure.
change of life right there. Not just a
Yeah,
change. That's a change of life.
like a whole lifestyle change, huh? No, it really was, dude. And like, I mean, I get profiled nowadays, but like having all the tattoos and the dreadlocks, I used to get profiled really hard. Which like I'm like 98% positive that's why I got followed from that grow store, and the whole little thing was because of the way I looked, right? Because like I totally stuck out, right? But anyways, I had like those dreads were long. I didn't grow them like as dreads that long. I grew my hair like pretty long, and then I like my chick at the time was like, "Oh yeah, no, I know how to do dreads like I did my sister's a long time ago." And I was like, "Oh, for real? Like I always wanted dreads." Well, so I was like, "Man, let's do it." So like she sectioned my hair. It took like 3 days because my hair was like pretty long for her to like do it. We did like however many hours every day, but like it was cool. You know, I just sat there and watched TV and we just like dreaded my hair. But I would have kept them forever, man. But like especially for like white people's hair, right? Like our hair like grows straight, like so you have to like as it grows, you have to like she would use like crochet needles and stuff to like knot it up again, like close to the scalp, you know, like as it would grow out, you know. And they would stay looking nice. Like she would do it like once a month, you know what I mean? They grow like a couple inches, and she would just do that couple inches real quick. Well, when I went to prison, I still had my dreads, you know, and like that was like in California prison system, dude. Like that's like so like cliche, you know what I mean? So like you know, I was having like issues with it, right? But like I still kept them, you know, like I having a fight over them and shit like every once in a while, you know, but like yeah, like I said, I've been in and out a couple times, so like I kind of know everybody, and like that's all it was. Like once or twice, somebody like you know had something to say about him, and we had to go do whatever, and then like and that was it. Nobody fucked with me anymore. Like oh, it was just understood that I was like the white dude with dreadlocks, you know what I mean, and that was it. But uh, I didn't think that. So like when I originally got busted, like that my co-defendant signed for a 6 month with half deal, you know? So I'm like, oh man, this might not be so bad, you know, like it's just weed, you know, like we'll probably be all right, you know? And then they came at me with like some crazy shit, you know? And I'm like, what the fuck? They're like, oh, well, you're a one striker and blah, blah, blah. And so anyways, I'm still thinking like, man, I got action, you know, and so I don't want to cut them off. You know, I wanted to keep them, dude, because it was like it was a commitment. Like at this point, you know, like for sure. And they were pretty badass dread, like for dreads. Like I had the real thick ones, like the Bob Marley ones. And yeah, dude, I kept them for like the first like year and a half, dude. I had them, and they were like probably like this long, like on the end, dude, like just straight hair and then dreadlock, like hanging off of like this straight hair, you know, and like I try to talk to all the black dudes in there, like to try and ask them, like, how do I like, man, how do I like get? They tried everything to hook me up, but like my hair is not like their hair. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't like do the things that their hair did. You know, and like in California, like you're not even supposed to like talk to the blacks or nothing like in our prison system. So like I have to like do it all low key to have them even like touch my hair to like try to help me. You know, so like I don't know, dude. Like after like a year and a half, and then like I got this celly that was like just like a fucking like just some real high power like asshole dude, and like he was just like on my ass about these fucking dreads, dude, and they looked like shit, and they like had this long straight hair, and like I'm like, dude, I still have like at that time I like because I was doing 7 years, 8 months. I'm like, man, I still have like years, dude. These gotta go, dude. I'm just gonna cut them off. So that was like the end of the dreads, dude. But like it was a cool run while it lasted, and it was cool. I don't know if like it was so hardcore to like you have to go through like such a gnarly like Beatles stage to like the 70s surfer thing to like get your hair long. I don't know if I could do it again, but maybe. But yeah, no, I don't know. It was cool. It was something I always wanted to do, so I'll check that one off my bucket list, you know. But yeah, they were pretty rad, man. I like those. I kind of wish I could have kept them.
not a question I get to ask that often, but so I asked, what was the first time? When was the first time? So after obviously a long stench there, what was the one that this brought you back? What was the strain that kind of when you got out or when you tried cannabis again for, I guess it's safe to say, for the second time, you go,
Yeah.
I've never been without, be honest with you, man. Once that shit started, here I am fucking way later. I've never quit, man. I've never really had to go more than a few days, week tops. I can't imagine going 7 years. So it's safe to say 7 years, man. That's starting over. What drew you back in, and what was the first strain? How was it the second time around?
Oh, dude, it was rad, dude. I like, yeah, like, okay, so, uh, I never quit smoking like by choice, you know what I mean? But I went through like a lot of periods like of probation and like, dude, like, man, probation, like, they're like not playing around, dude. Like, I was like having issues, so I like there was times I had to quit for that, and then for the prison sentence, like that was pretty. So like while you're in there, you could buy weed, like everything's available, but it's not like weed. Like they had decent weed this time, which it was kind of surprising. But uh, like the shit on your tray, like after you're done rolling a joint, like that's what they'll sell you for like $10. Like that's a stick, you know what I mean? And then like maybe like half of a regular like pencil sized joint, you know what I mean? That's like a $50 ball of weed, you know what I mean? So like you get to smoke every once in a while, and like I mean, like it's like not really like smoking, but like with me tattooing and stuff, like sometimes people will pay me with that or whatever. So I like through my term, like that was always my thing. But a lot of the time they'll bring in wax, you know what I mean? So you take the wax and like you spread the wax on like a rolling paper and like put tea in there and just smoke that, because the wax is easier to. So we were smoking a gang of wax in there, which kind of threw it. But like I said, we weren't smoking enough of it to like have any type of a tolerance. So like when I got out and obviously I had to go through the whole probation thing, and like I didn't play around because I didn't want to risk nothing while I was on probation. So as soon as like the day I got off, man, we went and my girl got us like a joint at the dispensary, dude. And I forget, it was something like one of those infused ones, like with the rosin in there or something. Cause she's like, yeah, I want something that's gonna get my old man fucked up because like he just got out. And so they like they gave her some joint, like some super joint thing, but it was just like whatever, like a regular joint with rosin in it. But dude, yeah, I don't even think we smoked the whole thing. And like you say, like it's cool because I've had a couple of these experiences like through doing the prison terms, and when I get out, like usually like when it was parole before we could smoke weed, so my brother would always be waiting as soon as I got out, like to just get me so stoned, dude, because he always thinks it's hilarious, dude. Like the first time I got out, he got me like he brought like a blunt over, and he's like we smoked the first one, and like man, I hit that. We smoked with this girl, and I hit it like one time, man. And I'm like, I held it in the first time, and then boom, like I started to get so stoned. Like the second time, I barely like held it in. The third time, just like blowing it straight out. Like, and then he's like, "Here, let's roll another one." Man, I was basically like crawled to my bed. We were at the neighbor's house, and I living at my parents' house when I was young. And so then this time when I got out with my girl, it's kind of like similar, dude. Like man, like as soon as I hit it, like man, I was like, man, I gotta lay down, man. We watched a movie and shit, but like it was like high school again, man. Like it was for me, like man, that thing got me ripped, dude. Like just those first couple of hits, like it's amazing, like how like now you could just sit there and just smoke, like how quick that tolerance builds back up again, But like for a minute there, yeah, like kind of makes me want to take a tolerance break right now, just talking about it, dude. It puts you on the moon for sure. It's definitely, if you can do it, like it's a hard thing, but if you could do it, probably worth it.
Yeah. So I actually almost had to bite my cheek on in that round of of story there, and I'll tell you why. And hopefully, I don't offend anybody when I say this, but I fucking it's too funny that the description you gave of like the joints you get in there for $10 just happened to be about the quality that you'll get from a fucking Michigan dispo for to the same amount of money you got in there. You sound like you were getting dispo joints for the same price as fucking a Michigan dispensary. I just thought that was fucking super funny.
Oh, that's hilarious, dude. Yeah, maybe they're the ones bringing it in. Yeah, who knows? That might be the case, dude. Yeah, that whole scene in there, man, was a total trip, man. And like, man, you hear Duke Diamond talking about the spice and all that. Like, that was like a huge thing in there too, dude. Like, they like the wax, like you want to buy like, which is like BHO, like they're selling BHO in there, but like the BHO that they're selling, like, which just like, man, these dudes doing these dabs now, like you see on Instagram and shit, like people in there probably shit their pants, but that should be like, a gram or some shit. They probably be like $200 or some shit in prison. But what's it called? Like man, the BHO like was kind of more expensive, dude, and the spice was like super cheap, dude, and like you would just see these dudes like crackheads and just like literally like falling out, doing weird stuff, like all that stuff Duke talks about, like about people like biting the toilet, the metal toilet, breaking all their teeth out. Like you would just see all that, dude. You'd see all that, people having like seizure type stuff. Like that it was scary, dude. Like I would never ever like just see. It was like a good experience in a way, just to be able to watch those people like do that to themselves. Like it was sad to see, but like I was out of my control. But it was a good lesson for me, dude. Like never ever touch any of that synthetic stuff, and that just drives it home even more. Like I was already on that path, but I'm like, man, no way, dude. Nowadays, like the only thing I do is mushrooms and weed, just natural stuff, like but yeah, no, that's the only other thing I like, mushrooms too, man. I want to try and get into growing those, maybe, dude. That's what I'm thinking about, maybe trying to do a couple tubs or something.
It's funny. I think that things happen for a reason, and I think that cannabis and psilocybin are being, no coincidence, pushed to the kind of forefront of herbal medicine. But I also think that it's kind of coincidental that we have this lovely plant cannabis, and then we have the awesome mushroom cultivation coming right behind it, which I kind of think that the super cleansiness practice that is needed with the mushroom cultivation is just gonna sway a nice easy path for tissue cultivation for that same grower. It's just gonna be an easy transition from you know uh the cleansiness mushroom room, you know what I mean? That same habit of keeping everything super sterile, you know what I mean, will help ease that same person into tissue culture at that point. It'll just be change pace. You muted, brother.
My bad. I keep forgetting. Now I know how you guys do that all the time, huh? Yeah, fucking that would be like the perfect dude to do the tissue culture, would be the mushroom guy, you know what I mean? For sure. Like I that's what's kind of like stopped me from doing it in the past, is like the fact that like they always talk about like you need like a flow hood and all that type of stuff. Um like my dad, he's an engineer, right? And owns a machine shop. I work for him now, but he what's it called? He's had like a clean room always, like where they assemble like optics and stuff, right? Like where you can't like get dust into them, and like you have to change out, put the booties on, and like you go under those flow hoods. And so like I always had like this like understanding that that's like what you would have to go through to like grow mushrooms. But like at Free Seed Day, I was talking to some people, and like I think that's like super helpful and like probably like would probably give you a lot more success to have one of those, you know. But I was talking to this guy and he was telling me like necessarily like there's ways to do it without that, you know what I mean? And he was telling me that like he doesn't even do it sterile, like that he just like inoculates the blocks and like watches the fungus colonize. And he says like by the color and stuff, like you can usually like if you know what a good inoculation and good colonization looks like you'll know a good one. And if you get one that's contaminated, just throw the block away, you know, and use the good ones, you know. But I don't know anything about it at all. Like I've never at all tried it. But I was just talking to him, and that like gave me a little bit of hope where I was like, man, I'm gonna start looking into this again and see what all go like, you know, if there's a way I can maybe like just, you know, even just buy a bag or something just to try it out and see what it's all about, you know?
I hope you do, man. I hope you really do. They are making it easier and easier. You know, some of these kids that are putting out easy kids. You know, it's not say in here in Michigan, you've got that Detroit nutrient companies putting together a nice, easy kit to do. You know, basically just inoculate that and fucking let her go. That
Oh
bag
yeah.
he's got there
Yeah,
too
yeah.
easy. So hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They,
I
they
heard
they
about that.
they definitely have a place. More and more people should utilize, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Do you grow any of those like even the edible ones or anything? Like turkey tails or any of that?
I do not.
No.
I do
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, for sure. Now I want to try it too. Yeah. I think I will. But oh, shit, I'm running out of battery.
I
Hold on.
I almost cheated last year with like some of the mushroom bags you can get from like Walmart. You know what I mean? You could get some edible bags there from Walmart. I think five, seven to $10, some shit like that. And you just basically soak them and let they just take off on their own and you harvest and chuck the
Oh,
block.
that'd be tight. Yeah, that sounds perfect for me too, man. That'd probably be a good like you're saying. That's a good starting spot for sure. You know, I think that would be hell yeah, dude. No, I have to look into those, man. I might have to get the hookup for those from you, man.
Walmart.
Walmart.
Walmart is where
Okay.
they Walmart this
Oh
time of
hell
year
yeah.
usually
Okay.
carries a bunch of that shit.
Oh hell yeah. I'm gonna look into that shit for sure. Okay. Fuck yeah. Yeah. No, that's the next frontier for sure. And like you don't really even need much space or anything to do those. You can pretty much just find like a little corner. I think, man. And that's like the beauty of them. A little fluorescent light in the corner and stuff. Probably be all right.
Like yeah, they were table countertop. That was countertop mushroom growing right there.
Oh yeah, huh? Windowsill or something, huh? Shit.
No, at some point maybe I will dip my hand into that type of cultivation, but not right now. Not yet.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's like a whole nother. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, man. It's like a whole nother thing though to set up a whole little area and like yeah, you kind of have to really be dedicated. And the like yeah, growing weed takes a lot of my time right now, dude. With a full job and then doing the shit I'm doing, man, it's like kind of a lot of work. So and a newborn. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I have a newborn son too. So that's like full plate, you know. But it's good in a way, dude. Like everything, you know, things aren't really like good or bad, you know, just things are. And like a lot of times we get hung up on like thinking things are bad, but like really it's like just a setup for something later on, you know? And like yeah, I think just being busy is like another blessing for me, dude. Like everything, the whole situation, like you said, man. I mean, everything. I'm a like very firm believer that everything in our lives happens to us for like a very specific reason, and that like it's all here for us to learn lessons, and that like you know we learn those lessons and we don't have to repeat this stuff over and over again. But like you know, if you just keep doing the same shit, you're gonna get the same results, you know. And so it's like you say, man, everything is happening to us for a reason. Like for all of us, you know. And if you can kind of like wrap your mind around that and not get so hung up on like something's bad or something's good and just accept it for what it is and realize that it's like most of it's out of your control anyways, you know? So it's like just you know, the universe has a plan for all of us, you know, and everything. I mean, the more you go looking in the microscope, everything works a specific way, you know what I mean, for a reason. And it's like it's all according to a plan, you know. It all seems to be according to a plan, you know. Everything has a rhyme and reason to it. So it's like it only goes to you know reason that our lives would be the same as everything else having a reason and a rhyme, you know, reason for it. So for sure, I think that's for sure true, you know.
So another thing I'd like to ask you about, and again, you know, just from your story tonight, um, I really feel that cultivation side of cannabis is like super, super huge. You know, and especially when you're looking at it as a medicine. I think that's, you know, it's huge. That side of it is huge. I think it's very underrated. You know what I mean? The flower, the dads, the edibles. Yeah, that shit gets a lot of credit. The RSO, the full spectrum oil, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I think really flat out, the more medicinal side of the plant is the plant cultivation side of things. And I've kind of really talked about a lot lately. I would think it to be super cool to have a nonprofit like a recovery or yeah, basically like a rehab you know, cultivation center to where people that were dealing with either anxiety or recovering addicts or even people returning from war or incarceration could find yeah, a little comfort or transition in through the cannabis plant, the cultivation side of things. Because as you do cultivate, man, you genuinely uh, grow as a person. As that plant, as you start to cultivate and grow that plant, you tend to grow as a person in so many positive ways. Uh, could you agree with that at all?
Oh no, for sure. Like I absolutely do. Like I think like if you did that, you probably like for the right type of person, like I think that really is the answer, you know. It just depends like what you're into, you know, like and like a lot of those programs like they preach like that everything else is a drug, you know, caffeine's a drug, THC is a drug, you know, anything that alters your perception's a drug, you know. And like I mean, everybody's situation is unique and different to them, you know. Like, but for me, like personally, like I couldn't do it stone cold sober. Like, I wouldn't be able to. Like, there's no possible way, you know. Like, for me, I just had to like, I had to want it bad enough to like look for an answer, you know, and like to be serious about what I was looking for and like not half-ass it, you know, because always I'd half-ass it in the past, you know, and like for me, like I really turned a corner when I started growing weed, like, and it wasn't like it didn't happen all at once to me, you know, like I was growing and then like I started thinking about the other stuff I was doing, but like and then like slowly it became into like where I started taking action, you know, but like for me, like I always grew up around people growing weed and there was always like an abundance of weed in a way, you know, like I mean, it's not that we always had a bunch of it, but it was always available if you had money or, you know, or whatever, you could get it. And for me, it was like something different for me before I started growing it. Like it was like a product, a substance, like a thing, you know, it was a thing more than like a living, breathing, like being, you know. And like once I started like cultivating, growing, like I started playing with the plant. I started watching the plant as it would respond to things I do. If I don't water it, it'll wilt. If I, and it's like, it was like another living thing that like was depending on me, and that like you're saying, like there's so many like aspects to it, like, you know what I mean, we could go on like all night, but then like but then when you like consume like the flower that you grew like yourself, and you like put a seed in the ground, and you watched like a plant come out of it, and then the plant like flowers and it makes these fucking buds, and like these buds get you high, and like everybody's been telling you your whole life that like this is wrong, dude, and you're like, how is it possible that this is wrong? Like all I did was put a seed in the ground, and the earth gave me this plant, and I used it, and any way I use it, it gets me high, if I eat it or if I smoke it. And you're going to tell me that that's wrong? Like, I don't believe you. Like, I disagree with that, and that was the point where like, okay, like pills and drinking and other drugs, like those were wrong, like those were like man made those, and they did something outside of nature. But like for me, when I grew that plant, dude, and I saw that come out of the earth, and I didn't do anything to it, and it like at that point, like no one could tell me that getting high on weed was wrong. Like there was no one that could tell me that. And like whenever I did AA, that was always a disagreement, and I never wanted to hide it. And that's why I always went to prison, because I was always like pretty open with my cannabis use, and what I did for a living, always I could smoke, and so I smoked, and I smoked in my car, I smoked when I got to work, I smoked when I got home, and like that replaced my other addiction to the point where like I stopped really thinking about all that other bullshit, and like it was medicinal for me, like in so many different ways, like emotionally, mentally, physically, dude. Every aspect of me like related with this plant that I was like sitting down and communing with every day, multiple times a day. Like I was meditating, I was communing, I was doing all these things that they preach to do and all these programs, but I wasn't doing it because they told me to do it. I was just following, like I was letting the plant lead me at that point, you know what I mean? Because she was growing me in a way, like I wasn't really growing her. Like at first, I put the seed in the ground, and then she kind of just grew me like a little bit, and like I just still to this day, like I didn't pick that, like I'm gonna start working like the sour. Like I didn't pick that, like I didn't ask for that cut, like that's the cut that I got passed, because that's the cut I got passed because that's what was here. And like, but it's not just because of that, like that cut picked me, and like this plant picks people that keep her safe, you know what I mean? Like these cuts that find their way to you, like we don't know about these plants, dude, but like they respond to me, dude. My plants respond to me, dude, and I get to know my plants, and my plants have a presence in the room, man. And my plants are, like the special ones, I know them, dude, and like I get to know them, and they have a little personality, and they like act a certain way, and like and so like if you listen, like she talks to you, like you have to sit there and like smoke a joint and just kind of chill, and like you'll get a thought in your head, and that's like that's a direction, and if you like Bodhi always talks about magic, man, and I like that shit, man, because magic's always been like the shit that we don't understand, and like I love that about the fucking cannabis plant, man. I love that we haven't been able to study it, man, because like she's still kind of magic, bro. Like you can't, no one can say they know everything about her because we haven't been able to study her, so we don't really know. And like I think that's beautiful, dude. Like because the more we take shit away and separate shit, like it fucks it up, dude. It fucks it up. Like we can't do it, dude. Like the plant is doing something, and like the only way to do it is to sit there and to commune with the plant and to do it daily, dude. And that's how you build a relationship with anything, like I mean, I'm not religious in the way I grow, like as far as like these organic people. Like I like growing organic, dude. I do it outside, I don't do it inside. I just don't. I mean, I do kind of a synganic thing, and I inoculate my shit with microbes, but I grow in cocoa inside, but like my whole thing is like I'm not religious salt grower. I'm not a religious, but what I am religious is towards the plant, man. Like as far as this plant, like I do have a relationship like you would like religiously like with the deity with this plant. Like I sit down and I talk to her like if you're praying to a god, and I like commune with this plant, and I grow this plant, and this plant like teaches me things, and I learn lessons through this plant. I meet people through this plant, my friends I've met through this plant. Like I work a job. I work because I need a paycheck because I have a family and I have to be responsible, you know? And that's the direction that this plant's led me to be in as well, you know? And like, for me, I'm good with that, you know? Like, and my girl will get mad at me because she gets all like emotional and gets mad, you know? And she'll tell me, man, you're just fucking high all the time. You don't care, you know? And it's not that, dude. It's just like I've developed in this life, like wherever I am, I'm fine with where I'm at, because it doesn't matter where I am. You can put me anywhere and you can put me in a box, man. I don't care. I'm going to start scratching on the floor. I'm going to get out of there in my head because I've learned to do that, you know? And it doesn't matter what situation I'm at out here, you know, like I, she could be yelling at me, whatever. Like I have that ability in my head where I can just, you know, and cannabis really helps me with that ability to like just go somewhere else, man. Like I can smoke a joint, and that's what I like. I like to get high, smoke a joint, turn my phone off, man, you know, just sit here and just smoke and just like really experience life, dude, because for so many years I couldn't like experience it, you know, and I couldn't smell like the fresh air, and I couldn't feel the wind, you know, and I couldn't like just all these things, man. Like I couldn't feel the sun on my skin, and just like just to take all that stuff in, man, like that's truly a meditation, you know, and that's truly like such a benefit, man, that like if you didn't smoke weed, you wouldn't take that time to sit there and do that, dude. Like people don't do that. Like the people around me that don't smoke weed don't do that, man. And I see their hair falling out. I see them stressed out, dude. I see all this fucked up shit where I'm like, please just smoke this shit, man. Like I give weed away to anybody, man, because I don't sell weed, man. So like, you want to smoke weed? I have weed, man. Here, come on, smoke this, try this. Here, you want to? And like, man, the people that do this, man, like we're healthier for that, you know, and I don't get sick a lot. I don't, you know, and I'm not like the healthiest dude. I've had a hard life. I smoke cigarettes, and mentally I'm good though. You know what I mean? And mentally I'm always going to be good. Like no matter what, like and that's the strength that I gained from my situation. And that's the strength that's like super, like this plant can give to anyone, dude. You know what I mean? It gives you that ability to like just to be fine anywhere you are, dude, because you're self-sufficient, man. If you can grow weed, you don't have to depend on anyone. Like you could get dropped in anywhere in the world, you know, grow your weed and grow your food. And you know, you've learned, like you're saying, like it's an introduction to gardening. I mean, you know, I grow little chilies and stuff, but like, dude, if I had to, I could grow my food now, you know, like I'm confident I could do that because I know I could grow weed. And so I know I could like survive. And it gives me that like self-sufficiency where like I don't have to protect, I don't have to depend on a weed man. I don't have to depend on, you know, anyone necessarily, you know. And like she's taught me electric, like I'm not an electrician, but I can do some basic electrical work, you know what I mean? I can do some basic framing, and I'm not a construction dude, but I built rooms, you know what I mean? And it's like it's not that the plan itself has taught me that, but by me going with the flow and like, okay, it's what I have to do to make my shit happen. And you learn these things, and you learn it, you know, you gain experience, you know. And she's given me a lot of beautiful experiences with like a lot of people and a lot of stuff. So yeah, I think that's, you know, pretty cool.
Damn, brother. You know, that's all I can say is your life journey, your experience speaks volumes. It really does. And you know, you painted a nice picture of exactly what I was talking about through the rehab process there. You know, I have lost so many people to pharmaceutical drugs, the pharmaceutical side of things, opiates and shit like that. And you know, part of the fucking addiction cycle is losing respect for yourself. All right, your head gets fucking fucked up and foggy, and you just kind of lose respect for yourself and the surroundings. and just drowned yourself in the medicine. And so what I see in the recipe for the rehab and the cannabis side of things is exactly what you're talking about, brother. Is I've seen a lot of people recover from the opiates through RSO, weaning through the process of the weaning off process with RSO. And then I think the recipe is kind of like we are saying there is through the cultivation side of things, learning how to respect the plant and the medicine that helped you, help yourself. And then through that process of learning to respect the plant and the medicine, you learn through that process to respect yourself again. You know what I mean? In that, and it's constantly learning process, as very well stated, by the way. It never ending, you know what I mean? You're slowly teaching and bettering yourself through that process. So cheers to you, my friend, for you know picking it up and being wise enough to find your way, man.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And I think like the most important part of all of it, like you said right there at the very end, was like that like what I'm realizing now, like at this point that I'm at, right? Because like I have some like clean time or whatever be under my belt or whatever, and like I have my family and like all this stuff, right? But like I'm like one bad decision away from like just going right back to what I was doing. I mean, it's like one fucked up decision, one bad move, one whatever, right? And so what I realize is like it's really important for me to like to help people, like and like not to put myself in like a bad situation or anything, but like to go out of my way to like help people like that I can relate to, right? Like that like I could see myself when I was down and out, right? Like, oh man, like I remember when I was like that, right? And like I go out of my way nowadays, like period. Like if I see someone that like I relate to that's in like a tough spot, like man, I'll move mountains for people like at times, you know what I mean? And like I do it for them, like I do, but like a lot of it, like it's a real thing about like, and that's like me having to sit in all those meetings, like, man, it sucked, dude, like, but like I always say, like, how everything happens for a reason, right? And like those stupid ass sayings, man, that they used to say, like, if I got anything out of those meetings, like a lot of those sayings were kind of good, and like that one about like that Bud Kilowatt always talks about and all that, like you got to give it away to keep it, and like that's a real thing, man. Like by me doing that, like for what it does for me is like I sit down and I talk to these people that are like in the same position that I was in when I was down and out and doing bad and all that, right? And when I hear about their problems and I help them or I give them a little money or buy them some food or give them a ride or whatever I do, it reminds me of where I came from, dude. Like, like it reminds me of like, man, you could be right there, dude. All you got to do, just pick that shit up again, man. You know what I mean? You like that truck you're driving around in, you like that house you live in, you like all your plants. Well, I mean, like you could be right where this dude's at. You know what I mean? It doesn't take, I mean, it'll take a while now that I built all this, last time, but I'll lose it all, dude. And I lose it all every time I do that shit. And if I don't remind myself consistently by like helping other people, dude, going out of my way to like, to, to spread what I've been given and to share it with other people because it's a gift for me, like 90% of my friends are dead, dude. And I couldn't tell you, like, I've overdosed countless times, dude. You know what I mean? And there was a time I was dead for 3 minutes, dude. They had to bring me back. I had burns on my chest from the freaking paddles, and I'm here for a reason, man. That's why I got a black cat tattooed on my throat because I got 9 lives and I always land on my feet, But man, I overdosed a lot, and all my friends they did, and they didn't come back, And that's not to say anything except for the fact that I'm here for a reason, and that you have to take this as a gift, like you didn't do anything of merit to be given this gift of life. You know what I mean? It was just bestowed on all of us, like we did nothing to deserve this, like we're just given this beautiful gift to experience these things, these beautiful things, and cannabis enhances this whole world around us, dude. Everything's enhanced because it slows you down enough to like where you can enjoy it, and like if you don't give those blessings back, it's so easy to forget where you came from and like act like you're better than that. Like you gotta associate. You can't like you gotta rub elbows with everybody still, and you can't act like you're not. You're still that dude. You just haven't had a drink or done drugs for a couple of years, but you're still that same dude like he is. Just because he's doing it currently. So like what you said there was really like something that I want to make sure that we throw in there to that whole discussion, because that's the capper on the whole thing. You can do all that other shit and throw it all away by forgetting where you came from, dude, and just like by not acknowledging other people that are in that position and thinking you're better than them, or that you've grown out of that, you're not an addict anymore, you're not that, because I still have an addictive personality, man. I smoke weed like a dope fiend, I drink coffee, I smoke cigarettes, but I channel that addictive stuff into like growing weed, making seeds, just being obsessed with YouTube. It's a positive, like I said, nothing's good or bad, So this obsessive nature, you can use it for good or for bad, You can obsess over drugs or you can obsess over something positive, And so like me turning that around, but I did want to throw that in there because I think that's important that people know that. Like if you've come back from something like that or whatever, like and you don't want to go out of your way to pull over to help somebody out, or you don't want to get robbed or something, man, like I mean, use your best judgment, but like help people, man. You know, uh, I would say that that's important.
Man, I have to 100% agree. Um, I had to. I hope they're not listening. I hope they're not.
Get yourself in trouble.
This is gonna sting. So I had that happen very much today about you kind of reading the situation but wanting helping. Okay, so oddly enough, for those of you who watch the show, um, we may remember like a few months ago, uh, a weird lady kind of showed up. I had her on camera too, kind of dressed in like a Santa, like an elf suit or whatever, and came from nowhere. So we said she kind of came from nowhere, and we thought it was a little weird. Those who answered the door didn't decide and kind of help or didn't offer the light that it was offered. I wasn't here. And so today, fast forward today, knock on the door, it gets answered. Fucking, they look at, the daughter, just leave it nameless. The daughter answers the door and sees the person out there and says, "Somebody out there, lady out there, weird, weird looking, says she needs a ride." Somebody else goes to the door, looks out. They want to ride. I fucking the daughter looks at me and says, "She got she's there's some strange lady out there. She's got shit all on her arms, And I look out there and it's, an older lady. She's got ink on her arms, it's writing some other stuff. It kind of reminded me of somebody that had been in a bad place and maybe possibly just, ink therapy, maybe possibly, it looked possibly self-inflicted, self-done. Nonetheless, I opened the door. I'm like, can I help you? She says, yeah. Um, is there any way you could give me a ride up the road? I just need a ride up to, XX Crossroads, and I got a heart condition. I'm like, hell yeah, hold on, be right out. You know what I mean? I grab my keys and jump in the truck, give her a ride up the road, about a mile and a half, maybe 2 miles. I can understand the reason why she had to get there. Fucking, that's the county line. Obviously, needing, she said, catch a bus there, public transport. Take it. Probably had an errand in the next county that this county wouldn't have picked her up at the house. You know what I'm saying? So I drop her off, and I come back to the house. Which, by the way, no small caveat to the story. As I get back to the house, there's a couple of checks that I wasn't expecting on the table too, which I kind of thought was a small payment for a good random act of kindness. But I get back and I come in the house and discuss negativity. Can't believe you give me people rides, blah blah blah. This that negativity. Didn't you see the shit on their arms? Da 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 da. Blue blue blue. And I'm like, you know what? She needed help. She said she had a fucking heart condition. I wouldn't want to fucking make somebody. I wouldn't if some people they're afraid to ask for help. You know what I mean? So I appreciate the fact that she did.
And that's somebody's
So,
mother,
and then it came down to the writing thing, and I took that in, and I took that in, and I says, you know what? Look at me, look at me. I'm covered. Somebody could look at me, fucking. I'm from my toes to my hips, my arms, and I've got a fair amount of ink. I would hate for somebody to push me aside or not help me, judge me like that in a time of need or else asking for help. You know what I mean? And I just turned around and walked away and kind of pretty much disgust, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's sad that there's times when people, you know, do not want to help because they read into, you know, a book or, you know, something that they wouldn't need normally help. You know what I mean? People need help. You can't judge a book by a cover 90% of the time. The tattoos, as far as that goes, I heard you kind of mention discrimination as far as like the ink goes. And I think that's kind of, it's especially as for somebody that's inked. I look at that as most of us have beautiful illustrated covers. Why wouldn't you open that book? You know what I mean? So many people run from it. Why not open that book and hear amazing stories like you've told tonight? You know what I mean? You know,
yeah,
it's
dude. I
it's
mean, you
their
never know.
loss 90%
Yeah,
of the time, 100%
never
of the
know.
time.
I mean, yeah, and a lot. I mean, dude, some of the most interesting stories you ever hear come from people that look like me. Like that have been around the block, and a lot of the man, like in prison, you hear a lot of cool stories. I mean, probably like only like 10% of them are true, but I mean, they're still interesting. And I mean, like with that situation, like, you know, that's unfortunate, you know, like the good thing is like the lady got a ride, and she got a ride because there was like that one person, you know, that was willing to like look past the cover of the book, right? And like the fact that that you were that person, like, not to pat yourself on the back, but like there has to be that one person in every crowd, or that lady doesn't get a ride, you know what I mean? And there really only needs to be one person out of that crowd, because the lady only needed one ride, you know, she didn't need everybody to give her a ride. And you know, besides that, I mean, you set an example, which like that plants that seed, you know. It's not like you're not going to change that lady's opinion, and you may never ever change her opinion, but maybe the person she was with like doesn't necessarily feel the same way, but didn't want to speak up, you know. And she saw you do that, and she's like, man, Eagle did that, like, you know what, maybe I'll do that for somebody, that like a girl that I need, you know, that I feel like I can trust, not pick up a dude, but you know, like maybe she'll do it on a smaller scale or something, or you know, she won't be so. But by setting that example, like I see that with me a lot, you know, like people, because I'm not scared of like getting robbed or like anyone, and I think a lot of that comes down to the way I look, and you know, whatever, the way I carry myself. But nobody really messes with me too much, so I don't have like a lot of fear when it comes to that, like unless it's not, you know, but for the most part I don't. And like that sets a really good example, like for people. And like, you know, especially like my wife, man, like would never be into that type of thing, but see me over time like constantly doing that, like she's more open to that. Like she's not going to necessarily do it because she doesn't feel safe or whatever, but she's not going to tell me not to do it no more, you know what I mean? And so that's like a little bit of growth, you know. And like, so that to me like comes down to like we're not in control of other people or anything outside of us. So like you did the right thing because you're in control of yourself, and you were there and you did it. And you know, like I said, we only needed one ride, and you're the one, so you got it done, and you set an example, you know. So like, I don't know, I feel like, you know, you got rewarded, you got those checks, you know, or whatever, but you got rewarded in the fact that like you have that presence of mind, that lady got there, and that she's all right. Because you know, what reason does she have to lie to you about a heart condition or whatever? Like you took her, you know, she probably really did, you know, like, or she needed it bad enough to ask a stranger, you know what I mean? And you got to say like, that takes some balls, dude, to walk up to some bald headed like big old dude, you know, and be like, hey man, I need a ride. Like that takes some guts. Like you must have really needed that ride for something, you know what I mean? And like it's not your job to like figure out why she needs it or anything, you know, or she need drugs or not. I mean, the whole thing is like, you know, you didn't give her money or nothing, like, you know. So I think that for me, that's what I do, you know, and I set that example that you set, dude, and I support that, and I think that's pretty freaking cool that you stepped up and did that, dude. And like you said, like things are a trade-off, and you get rewarded for things like that. And like you said, you got rewarded. Okay, you got some cool stories tonight, right? And you're gonna be more apt to like the next guy that maybe looks like because I don't look like the normal weed guy, you know what I mean? I don't look like the normal weed grower. I mean, I'm a total nerd. My girl tells me that all the time, you know, but looking at me like I don't look like a nerd, you know, but I am like a major nerd. But I'm just saying, like, you'd never know that until you talk to me, you know. And that's because like, you know, I lived a couple small lives in this lifetime, I guess, you know what I mean? But like it's different now. But you know, I wouldn't want to erase this stuff, you know. And for me it's like a filter, you know, like the people that aren't worth my time, like they don't talk to me, and they don't even bother me, and they just walk right past, and they walk the other side of the street and take their kids with them. And you know, but the people that are willing to give me a chance are usually like the real people. And like I've found like it kind of weeds out like a little bit of the bullshit, you know. So like, you know, and like I said, I mean, it's not in my control anymore anyways, but you know, like I don't mind it, you know. But uh I think that that's another message that, you know, we could tell people again, you know, like we're in this culture of like, you know, like you can identify as what you want to identify and don't judge people. Well, I mean, like, you know, like the same way you wouldn't judge someone for the color of their skin, you know, you wouldn't want to judge them for the color in their skin, right? Like that type of thing, you know. But yeah, I mean, just people that look different from what you're used to, you know, like if you're in an area and someone, you know, I just think that not necessarily go out of your way and help like, you know, weird crazy people and get yourself hurt or anything, but like, you know, talk to somebody, man, and find out what's going on with them. And just, you might hear, man, I hear some interesting, but I talk to everybody. I talk to homeless people and everything, man, because man, everybody's got a story, man. And a lot of them, like, man, sometimes you could buy a dude a beer on the street, man, and for like a $3 beer, man, you'll get a story like you wouldn't believe, man. If you got 15 minutes to kill or something, man, I'll do it, man. I do it all the time, man. Oh, you want a beer? I'll buy you one, man. Smoke a joint, listen to this guy just talk about, the craziest shit, man. But some of it, sometimes, it's really interesting, man. Sometimes you run into a good one, and it's I don't know. I it's the hunt for me, but I like that shit too, but yeah, I think that's a good thing, man. Don't ever judge a book by its cover, man. We're almost there, huh? Almost to 420. You're muted, bro. Am I muted?
Getting there, 320 here.
Oh shit,
anyways.
320. Oh shit. I thought it was 4 hours, but it's 3 hours on. Okay. Must be. It says 12:30 on my 12:15. That's weird. Anyways, 320.
It's kind of a little funny that you've kind of said, just a little bit, you never learn, you never know what you're going to learn by talking to somebody. That very same person, it was very coincidental that we did talk a little bit on the way down there. And the information that she did have for me was super informative. And then what's even funnier about that is so I found out that the person that I'm dealing with for the house, I kind of found out is like it's more widespread than me. There's other folks in the neighborhood that's being squeezed by the same gentleman. And I found out that in one case that, shady shit. But anyways, it was confirmation. You know what I mean? I knew in my soul, there was something amiss here. And that was like some good confirmation that I was, spot on. And then as I dropped off her there at the corner, we just kind of she mentioned something about karma, and I looked up at her and I said, I'm a firm believer in karma. And I really hope this gentleman, kind of comes around on him in the end. And then again, it was weird. That's why I thought that the fact that there was a little gift horse on there, at the end there, because there was that mention of karma at the end there. And I kind of get home and I'm like, sure shit. You know what I mean? Sure as shit. Sure.
Funny how that works.
You know what I mean?
Funny how that works. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. And like that instant karma type of thing. Yeah. I mean, and it's like, yeah, you can wish it on somebody, but like, you don't even have to wish it on them. You know what I mean? And it's like, it always comes like at the worst time, like, cause I can speak from experience, like being someone that built up like bad karma and like, man, yeah, just like at the worst time, like, oh, time to pay the piper. You know what I mean? Like, wait, and fuck, man, like that's it's yeah, like, and me knowing that, like, that's why, like, man, this shit happens to me. And like, I mean, I can't act like it doesn't upset me at times, you know what I mean? But I tend to get over things like a lot quicker now, like just knowing from being on the other side of that, like everybody pays the piper, like it doesn't matter, like and you may not like see it happen to them or like get that satisfaction, that might not be like for you to get, but like just know in your heart that like, good things happen, people get you reap what you sow, people get what they got coming to them, and like, and that's real, like nobody escapes that, like, and it just goes to show, like, even like it might not be that, you know, they might just get busted in a sting like I did. Like I got busted, shit wasn't even mine, and I'm like, well, this must be for like the shit I did previous that, you know what I mean, like I never had to pay for before. That's the only way I could like justify it, you know. So it's like yeah, people always, yeah, you reap what you sow, you know. And it, but the cool thing is that it works like the opposite exactly the same, like, you know, because karma's like both sides, you know what I mean. It's bad and as good the opposite. So yeah, you do it, flip it around, and it goes the other way too, you know. I think that part's pretty cool. That's what I'm gliding on now, you know.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It can definitely work both ways. Uh, Definitely, and it kind of goes both ways with something else you kind of spoke of earlier as manifestation. Manifestation. There we go. Without the dry mouth slur, is you know, it does that could work both ways too. And basically, once you kind of figure out, karma, and that it works applies to, manifestation side of things too, man, you quickly, very quickly become very choosy on what you think about, what you take in. You know what I mean?
Dude,
At that point.
oh, like, yeah, big time. So, okay, so how that relates. Okay, so when I was in prison, I read that book, The Secret, right? And you being into this manifesting thing, I'm sure you've read that book too, right? So that's a really good book, right? But I had a hard time like putting it fully into practice because it's like a full like commitment, like lifelong thing. You know what I mean? And so I started like kind of small, like you're saying, you know, and like every little thing, like you start, you know, start thinking like, okay, so like self talk and like, you know, like, oh, you dummy, or, you know, you really manifested that, like you really become a dummy, you start calling yourself that, or whatever you want to say, you know. But like so like with my son, like man, I don't say no negative, like man, if he messes up, like nothing, I just try to teach him and correct him, but I don't say no negative shit because I don't put no like, because you manifest that. I saw a little meme on the internet and it was pretty cool, like just like in the fact, like it was a bunch of like pots of plants and it had like love and hate and peace and war and like all this different shit like that. And like it's like whatever you water will grow, you know. And like for me, that's like it fits into that manifesting thing, right? Like just in the fact that whatever it is you feed in your life and whatever you focus on, like you could do, dude. You could do anything in this world that you like. You have to see yourself doing it, but like if you know, like literally anything that you're really willing to commit and put it all in line for, and like you could do it, dude. You know what I mean? And all it takes is like act as if you're already that in a way. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a part of it that's like doing the work, and then the part of it like being diligent. But yeah, I mean, for sure, like you can create those opportunities for yourself. And like what's interesting to me is like the more that I started to do that, and it talks about that in that book too, is like it becomes a kind of addicting in a way, like because like for me, once I started to really get it, like the hardest part was just setting the goals, you know, like what do I really want, you know, because like, okay, I can manifest anything, but what do I really want? Like, that's like a really big question in life. Like, what do you like really want in your life? Like, you can pick, you know, but you got to pick the, you know, right thing. So it's like, setting like real goals for like what do you actually want your life to look like, you know. Like even when you asked me that, like I'm kind of like I still feel young, you know, probably because I've been gone for sitting on the shelf for a couple of years or whatever. But the time seems like it definitely goes by quicker. You know what I mean? And like there's a time it definitely felt unlimited, and now like it's halfway done. And I mean, it was, you know, the hell of a ride. And I have a feeling the second half will be a little bit like better, more chill. But you know, I got all my experience down in the beginning half, which I do think was a good thing, you know, because I'm rock solid in like what I think about. But Yeah, kind of. Oh, I think I lost it again. Forget where I was at.
Yeah, life can be a funny thing right there.
Thank you.
For sure, man. Uh Jim Rome, I think at one of his speeches that I've listened to kind of put it in some really good realization, man. You know, you take life for granted until you put it in very realistic numbers. You know, as you kind of hinted to, you know, we're kind of duped into thinking endless, 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 endless. You know, but that's a crazy dream. That's a hat dream. You know what I mean? But when you think about it very realistically and put a number to it, you know what I mean, and accurately kind of think about it, it's sobering when you start thinking, average age, you know, if you're lucky, 80. You know what I mean? Current age, 35, right? Is that what I
Yep.
heard?
Yeah. Yep. It's like almost halfway there,
So,
right?
well, you start looking at it, you go fucking fishing maybe once a year or Christmas. That's four. You start thinking you got 45 left. You know what I mean? You start thinking
Yeah.
about it
If
like
you're
that
lucky.
and counting them. If you're lucky, right?
Yeah.
You start to cherish them moments a little bit more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Things start to have a little bit more weight.
No, for sure. Like that's a beautiful thing, I think, for sure. Like you're saying, because like, man, like even right now, like, man, there were so many things that I wanted to talk about and stuff, but like I kind of blanked out. But like, like when you're a kid, man, like, fuck, dude, I've been through some shit. I went through some crazy shit. I had a lot of fucking crazy stories, but I wasn't paying a lot of attention when I was a kid, man. I was just like kind of going, and that's when like, weed was like just like a commodity to me, like, but like it wasn't like I didn't have this relationship that I have with it now, but like that really applies to everything like you're saying, and it's just like it's crazy, dude, like in all aspects of our life, like that's super, like it's just a trip, man, like, and just like you're saying, like, and just whatever you want, like if in life, I mean, what do you want, for some people if it's money or whatever, but like for me that's not really like what I think's like important, like, but I am working on manifesting a house, man. That's my new thing. I've like picture like I'm sitting in the house, like watching TV in my new house. Like that's how they say to do it, man. I haven't gone that extreme with it yet, but like so far, I mean, I feel like I'm well on my way. You know what I mean? I wanted a boy, I wanted a family, I wanted all this shit, man, and I just like, you know, it all just was waiting for me pretty much when I got out, like, and I didn't plan it all. It just was here because I had pictured myself with it. And it was just the way I pictured it, like, man, like my room's even like kind of like roughly like the way I kind of pictured like that I was going to set one up quick when I was in there, so like it all kind of came true, and so like it's encouraging because I know like that I could take it farther, like I know I could. I really have to like you really have to commit yourself to it like fully, like, and there may be more to it than just thinking about it, but like, you're gonna be willing to take those steps. But that manifestation thing, if like you guys haven't looked into that, like that's an interesting thing that like your mind is so powerful, like we only use such a small amount of it, and like uh energy, our mind controls this energy and stuff that the ego was talking about can't be created or destroyed, it's just here, and it's like you can direct that energy and focus it, and like uh the sky's the limit, man. Do whatever you want to do. And it's just a crazy concept when you really like grasp that like the only thing holding you back is your imagination. Like how far can you picture it? Like do you tell yourself, oh no, I could never do that, or you're like, oh yeah, no, I can make that happen, like, and just do it, and it's like, fuck, dude, you'd be shocked at what you can fucking do by just, just having confidence that you can actually do it. I think that's a big thing, just having that confidence.
One thing they leave out of that movie, and I think it's the key to the secret. You know what I mean? Some of it, I used to believe, and I still believe, is a huge part of it, and why people necessarily can't make it work initially is I think they lack imagination and creativity. I think at some point in life, people kind of give up and just want to be told. You know what I mean? They lose the dream, they lose the ability to dream. And so I think that's where a lot of people fall short. A
And the lust for
in the
life,
secret.
man. Yeah, like you're burnt out, like the second half.
But the real secret to the key, or the key itself, and I'm guilty of not applying this to the manifestation key, but when I do, I find it is the key, is journaling that, actually writing it down, and doing that daily, looking it over daily, keeping it fresh in the mind, keeping it, kind of hard lined. I find is another very essential key to that whole process.
That's a really good tip, actually, man. I'm gonna actually put that into practice, because that seems like that would help you visualize it too. Because like you're saying, like you're focusing on it, you're putting it on a paper. Like you can start your visualization with the word, and then like work your way from that. Because like I think a lot of like what you're saying too is like yeah, actually like the imagination and being able to like actually like really believe it. It's not just something like pipe dream. Like when you say shit like that, like that's not having like the confidence. Like you gotta like kind of talk as if it's already like happened, type of thing. And like yeah, I think, I mean, that's what I think has worked for me up to this point. But like act as if everything.
Out of all the people, I've looked to as like a mentor, or listen to their speeches, and a, a very impactful way across the board. And I've talked about this in learning how to grow. You know what I mean? When you're approaching anything in a naive sense, it's good to kind of take in as much information as you can, and not, prejudge the information. Take it all in, take your notes, lay them all out, see where that fucking information falls. You know what I mean? All those notes, you start putting them together, you're going to see all these things line up. These are true. This is true. This is true. You know what I mean? So, it all lines up here. Now, here's a fucking nice playlist right here. You know what I mean? To kind of run from. And, I think a lot of people don't necessarily utilize that. But what I've seen across the board in my, like I said, taking in a mentor, like speeches and stuff like that, across the board, what I found in that, every one of them folks kept a journal. Every successful person that I've ever looked into in a mentor type atmosphere kept a fucking journal. Underline everywhere. That was the line. That was the line, the similarity right there in the success. Every one of them cats kept a fucking journal. You know what I mean? Of goals, aspirations. Every one of them kept a fucking journal.
I think that's super interesting, because like it's like a certain type of person. Like I'm a list person too, and I think it's like a linear type of thought process. You know what I mean? Like, because it is really helpful for me. Like I make all kinds of lists for all different stuff, because like you're saying, I think that way, and like it does help me, like for sure, writing stuff down, like And I don't know if that's from spending time in prison like that or what, but I used to write a lot of letters, and like that's kind of like a lost art nowadays. Like you don't really write letters to nobody anymore, but for me, like man, I can really express myself like on paper more so than even like more so than like talking, but like I think it's just because like I think that way linearly, and it like gives me time to like think about what I'm going to say, and before I say it, stuff. And, excuse me. What's it called? Yeah, dude. No, like the list. I think that's a good tip. But yeah, no, I think that's interesting that all the people you looked up to like made lists, because like it shows that that's like a successful like way to think about things. You know what I mean? Like real linearly and like 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? Like just one foot in front of the other type of like one step at a time type of thing. You know what I mean? It's like a thought, like a style of thought. Because like man, I know some people do not like write lists and don't do things that way either. Like real scatterbrain, like all over the place type of thing. Not usually successful though.
Right on, right on. So how we check it in, my friend? We're getting close to the 420 mark.
I know, dude.
I did see that yawn there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. I get up early with the kid and stuff, so yeah. Usually, I don't make it to the end of your show, man. But no, I think I'm getting pretty burnt, pretty tired. But yeah. No, I wanted to do this, man, so I could get on the Weed Nerd World, man. That's why I wanted to push for this show, man. So hopefully I'll get the invite now, man.
Oh, for sure, for sure. The same Zoom link that I sent you today is your Zoom link for the Weed Nerd World, as it is now. That the Weed Nerd works. You come and go now as you please, basically. So hopefully we will see you more often. I greatly appreciate your time coming, hanging out, man. Like I said, man, your story to me spoke volumes on what a great person you are. Hell yeah, man. I greatly appreciate it, man. For real.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, no.
I hope other people took some shit from your story as well, man. So thank you very much. One other thing I'd like to get from you before we go, and hopefully you know what that is as well.
Oh man,
is
sound bite.
Yep, the sound bite.
Yeah,
I am ready.
Oh wait, hold on. I didn't mean to do that. Oh yeah, okay.
Oh no, you're good.
Wait. All right. What episode are we, dude?
627.
Okay. All right. This is WormDawwg. This is episode 627. I'm fucking talking shit with Eagle. Yeah, man. Check out the show.
Hell yeah, man. I greatly appreciate your time, man. Did you think we'd go this long?
No, man. I didn't think I'd make it this long at all, dude. But I was like, man, I'm close to the end, man. I should just push it. But then, yeah, that yawn, man. I'm like, but no, I'm proud of myself, man. I think I did good, man. I did good.
Oh man, you did super, man. You did super, man.
Oh, cool.
I greatly enjoyed tonight.
Oh, yeah, I was totally nervous, man. Bro. But yeah, no, cool. I'm glad, man. Hell yeah.
All right, guys. With that being said, thank you so much for your time. You want to give anybody some shout outs? Remind them one last time where they can find you, all that good stuff.
Man, on Instagram, WormDawwg, WormDawwg. And that's it, man. Yeah, no shout outs or nothing, man. I mean, just to everybody, just keep it up and be good to each other, man. That's what I would say though. Be good to each other and be good to one another, man. And let's not beef and fight in this whole little industry, man. Salt versus the organic, stupid, man. It's all minerals, But that's what I had to say. But yeah. Anyways, but yeah, no. Hell yeah, thank you, man. It was an honor to be on the show, man. Honor and a privilege. I can't wait to see you guys soon.
Hell yeah. With that being said, don't forget, as we have said many times tonight, random acts of kindness do save lives. Don't be afraid to help somebody out. Good night, guys. I